Want to know how to get the same cell coverage for up to half the cost? Well, instead of spending a fortune building and maintaining their own cell phone towers, Consumer Cellular just pays to use the same towers as the largest carriers and passes the savings on to you. Pretty smart, huh? Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
At Sleep Outfitters Outlet, great sleep is a big deal. Save 40 to 60% every day on every Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and Tempur-Pedic. Queens as low as $249. Customer exchanges, closeouts, and floor samples. Inventory changes daily, so come in for your dream deal today. With no credit needed financing, expert advice, and up to 60% off retail, it's never been easier to get the sleep and savings you deserve. Go to sleepoutfittersoutlet.com for financing details and to find a store near you.
A choice right now between fear and love. It's just a rock.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expounding reality. A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Welcome to Expanding Reality. I am your host, Brandon Thomas. On this very, very information-packed episode, we are talking matrix energetics with clan mother Karen Macdonald. Now, all the ways to find her, of course, guys, are going to be located down in the show notes. Make sure that you check out Project Ascension, which is going to be located down there, as well as a ton of resource links. We cover so much material on this. Air purification, contact vaccinosis, vaginal steams. It goes so deep and so far as the apprehension of energies here, deep underground military bases, energy weapons. We cover it all. Karen is phenomenal. It's a mind-blowing episode. You're definitely going to probably want to listen to this more than once. There's just so much amazing information in here. So, before we get to that, let's check the resource links in the show notes down there. Food Forest Abundance, get that freedom from fear on. Opus, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. Feeling frisky and want to start your own podcast? There's a link down there titled that, so definitely take advantage of that. As well as the Manifestor's Guide, guys. If you really want to step your game up as far as taking control of your life, click that link, type Expanding Reality, all caps, no spaces at checkout for an awesome deal on that as well. Also, while you guys are down in the show notes, check out expandingrealitypodcast.com. That is where links to all socials go. But more importantly, you can sign up to become an Expansive Insider, and that is where we keep all of the bonus content. It's a massive amount of awesome stuff going on over there, guys. We have several series going with some amazing people. One of note that we just started recently is the extraterrestrial races with a good friend of mine, Ashley Rose. And we're going through all of the extraterrestrial cataloged races, from their technology to what they inhabit. It's an amazingly cool series, and I'm grateful to be doing it. Sign up to become an Expansive Insider so you can check that out and all of the other cool stuff that we're doing as well. Also, this is a value for value system, so if you guys find value in the show, please check the link down there titled Support the Mission. That is a wonderful way to support the show, and I am grateful for everyone who has taken advantage on investing in our mission here, which only gets more amazing and bigger and better every day. So thank you guys so much. All right, so let's get to this incredibly cool conversation with Karen Macdonald. Welcoming to the show, we have Karen Macdonald. Karen, how are you?
I am on Expanding Reality, so you know what? I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
Internationally, I'm excited. So, I mean, doesn't get any much better today than to hang out with you today.
Dude, perfect. Absolutely well put. And I could not agree with you more. Now, I found a video of you. It looked like it was a while back, but I just found some video that was copied and screenshotted and all of that. And it took me a little bit to find you, but I found you. And I was like, I've got to get you on the show to talk. You're fascinating. We had a meeting already. And so even that conversation we should have recorded because it was just incredible. But now I've got you here with the audience. I cannot wait to introduce you to my audience. So if you don't mind, For those of them who don't know you very well, do you mind just letting us know a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm known as Karen Ann Macdonald, and my mother dropped me off from a long time ago in what you call the Kamloops secwepemec area, known as British Columbia. Some people think it's Canada. So anyway, it's on my mother's land up here. And I grew up in the prairies called Saskatoon, and I attended the University of Saskatchewan, and I was an Evan Hardy soul. And then I got an aha moment one day, and one of it was actually my 2 children. And they came talking to me about what you know as kind of like the Epstein Island or the child pedophilia trafficking stuff. And it involved a large part of the community. Their father at the time was John Paul Kwok, and he's actually an Asian lawyer. And there was a lot of stuff they started disclosing. At the same time, I didn't know there was a whole bunch of other children making disclosures, and it was called the Martinsville case. So if you're not aware of the Martinsville case, you can go, CBC did a documentary on it called Satanic Panic with a friend of mine, former constable Claudia Bryden. That was the aha moment. So as a former neonatal nurse, and I've been nursing for 40 years, and I've got a wide variety of background, and I went into that aha moment, took me into a whole, I would say set of rabbit holes or whatever, but I became basically an aromatherapist. So I studied with CARE with Dr. David Stewart. I went fire walking with Dr. Gary Young from Young Living Essential Oils. I learned about, and I started recovering the first, I'll say injection, gene experimental things of the joy juice that they were injecting into people called Gardasil. So, and my first experiment with that kind of stuff too was, I mean, it was huge. It was like children making disclosures to you, and then your whole life has just changed. I went from, and I think, gosh, neonatal, we didn't do any injections that way. I was there to help preserve life, but I was also the Saskatchewan Union of Nurses rep for 15 years. I was like the legal advocate. I was the unpaid lawyer there. And so I was also the head of the nursing advisory committee, which means I was in charge of all 1,200 nurses there. So I saw a lot of things that was going in. So now what I would think, oh my gosh, that kind of they look genetically, they shouldn't be breeding. And you go, oh, it's a hybrid thing now, like Area 51. So, I've really evolved since then. And in there, I decided I had to go off the grid. I was in the courtrooms, and I was trying to protect my children at the time, because you can imagine when I started trying to expose this, going, I think there's pedophilia, there's lawyers involved. How come the police aren't doing anything? The RCMP, don't even get me started about that. Child protection, we know those are all the agencies that are captured agencies that are infiltrated by the deep state. And so I was reading people like Kathy O'Brien and Transformation of America, and David Icke. I had his whole entire thing in my health center. You came into my health center, you got like holistic tea. You could get some raw cacao, like a la David Wolf. I had a library, I had amethyst crystal biomats from the amethyst crystal biomat store, e-store. And so I got into all of this. And then I got into spring water, and it was all about the water. And I started going to spring water. You start thinking differently. You get your mercury fillings out. You start using essential oils. You start being cognizant of the consciousness that you put into your system. So then I went, well, this is cool. So now I'm doing massage. I'm doing vita-reflexology. I'm learning iridology. Then I got into live blood cell. I'm doing dark field analysis. I was like, this is so cool. So then I was approached by a lot of people to set up the first quantum holistic medical center. So as a, not an alternative, but that's what actually quantum medicine is. And it was shamanic, it was tribal, it was original clan, it went before the pyramids, but it's, out there, not just foraging, but we have all the top technology intergalactically, cosmically available to us. And that's when I got into biofeedback. So I started with some really old tech machines that you're still seeing around today. Skeel or Indigo is what they're called. I know a lot of people are putting out these SCALAR devices that look like, TVs that look like you're going to have a seizure. But, we've evolved since then and flip phones. So then I got involved with Dr. Ariel Policano and Ryan Williams. Well, that brought biofeedback to a whole new genre, because we could now take your phone, and you've seen Star Trek, right? SG-1. Okay, now it's exciting to me, because now I know what I'm doing. But anyway, so now we could take your phone here, and we could actually use it like Bones did. as a scanner, a communication device, holographic. And your phones and your iPads now all operate on the scalar wave. So you don't have to spend $30, $50, $100,000, guys. No. You are the scalar wave. They're tapping into your energy. So as long as your alignment is in and you're alkalized and you're cleaned out, or detox, or clans have cleanse days, whatever, you are the wave. And that's what it does. It allows you to throw your energy. So this can be very, very handy. And so that's what we did. We ended up putting these little things on. And as funny as it is, I've been in biofeedback, but I don't program. You guys are much more techie than I am, let me tell you. But I went and got that put on there, the Genius Biofeedback. So we actually have a RIFE one. We've got, where you can just get a RIFE for a couple hundred. You can just get an Odyssey for a couple hundred, these apps at geniusbiofeedback.com. You can have a free demo with us for an hour. So, you could figure out what mineral, what kind of mood you're in, what your aura looks like. And more importantly, we can change your aura. So if people are upset, depressed, this type of thing could go on. As I started learning more and more, I got more and more fascinated by this type of stuff. And I was like, wow, this goes all through you. And this is the waves. I'll just show you.
Wow.
So those waves in here make a big, big difference. They penetrate. And this is what we're meaning, is everything is about radiation. So we can actually do the water, not just through fractals. That's just one you can get on your phone or app or iPad. Same thing. We can look at all of it. And this is where technology is going into. And so this is where I went, oh my gosh, we are moving. So then I'm going to talk a little bit about strange things like colonics, Kalima boards. And you're going to see here, this is actually my curriculum vitae, by the way. So I deal a lot with trauma, release, womb recovery, sexual abuse, ritual abuse, steams, excellent. Peri-steam hydrotherapy is a new thing, to most people, or yoni and warm curls. So I do all these like really cool things that most people have never heard about. And so it was funny because you saw me on a TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just some screenshot of a screen record of a secondhand something or another, and no name, no nothing on it. And so I was just like, I got to find you. Yeah, and found you.
And mirrored. You said you're on TikTok. I went, no, I'm sure I haven't done a TikTok, but they mirrored it, right? So they cut out 3 minutes. I found, thank gosh, you sent it to me, so I knew what we were talking about today. But on there, what they've done, and you'll see people taking a lot of our clips, and that was something I did with Miles Johnson from the Basis Project. And this is where the basis is. A lot of people, they're into esoteric type of things and what's going on with the secret space programs and all these type of things in the new 17th Space Force, in there. You'll see that a lot of us were actually talking about this a long time ago. So I got to meet people like Max Spires and these super soldiers. And I'm going to be on a show actually on newsinsideout.com with James Rink from Super Soldier talking about Nacera on Sunday with Judge Alfred Webre. So he's got lots of books out to do with time traveling, coronavirus, and they actually time traveled his book on exopolitics 20 years back to him.
I have thought of this is time traveling information like that, like a book from the future, and seeing its published date and everything, and then transferring it back for that wisdom and knowledge to be here. But also with the scalar stuff that you're talking about, you are the wave, and that's something I definitely want to ask you about. But this idea that you can transfer information via these electronics like this, we call these, the computer screens, your phone, all that stuff, the Black Mirror, right? And there's that amazing show, The Black Mirrors, and it's horrible and dystopian, but there's a flip side to all of that stuff. And that's what I love about your work, is you empower people with this information to go ahead and be themselves and to be the best, greatest, grandest version of themselves. So when you said you are the wave at that point, whenever you're...
the wave.
Right. So what's interesting is if information is being sent that way, then the same is true, right? Positive energy, positive information, higher vibrations, higher consciousness, all of those things are transferred through the same medium, right? It's not just for lizard turds.
Exactly. And it's, you can cut it both ways. Like, you can have that wave out there and reverse it. So that's what we're really doing, is reverse engineering. So, which led me down to another rabbit hole. So I took those vials that were snuck to me, right? And I put them on my replicator and plates, and I can look at them where we're very limited. Let's say if I'm doing live blood cell. So I can actually see what the biofeedback, like Genus does before and after. And so we do animals, people. And I mean, how simple is this? I mean, you just get an app, and it's not a big medical device, and it doesn't cost $50,000, $60,000 of your time, which, we did back then. But, you got to remember, you are the energy. So it's not just Kirlian photography that we're measuring to see you or the food, but you're actually coming out and seeing what you look like, your inner you. And if you're very low energy, like, in the 30s and 40s, that's what they call the big C word, and you can take a lot of C's these days, but this is where these people vibrate very low energy. That's like 3D. So as we start increasing the wave, and we can meditate, we can, do pranayama and do breath and do all we want, do essential oils, which really raises the vibration. The more alkaline you are, the more you're going to accept it. So half the thing is I spend doing very simple remedies, and I've been out to a lot of the bands and reserves and tribes as well. And people are always confused, like, with myself being the 13th clan mother, white bear, some people call Arcturian. But anyway, as a 13th hereditary, I'm not native. I'm not Aboriginal. And people can go to Tribal Laws, Mr. Meredith Quinn, or we did 50 videos, which is, you want all that weird stuff too? I was with Sergeant Patty Broussard and people like Mary Rodwell and Sergeant Daniel Brad McMullen, like the Secret Unacknowledged Projects. And so we did 50 videos. And at that time, Patty Broussard had access to the NASA satellites and all sorts of systems. And we just opened the things, and they're still there, you guys. They haven't. And this is way before you started hearing about Alana Denan and Michael Sala and Alex Collier's coming back now, and definitely before Ishmael Perez, so all those kind of stuff. But, it's an amazing thing to see it for yourself. It's not someone telling you. But when Patty opened up a satellite or a military secret camera, and I'm up there on the ISS, and the next thing I'm in the inner Earth, no one has to tell me what the Earth looks like, what the shape is, because I've seen it.
So
you can make all the conjectures you want, but I've seen it with thousands of satellites over 7 years. So
to be fair, you've seen images on a screen that were showing you something.
We opened up the camera. So we actually opened up a satellite itself.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Oh, don't even.
Okay. See, this is verification.
Ascension.
Yeah.
Project Ascension. So you'll see a lot. You'll see when CERN blew up. Okay. Those portals opened up. This isn't the first time. Now they're trying to open up, which they've done in the last 2-3 months. Lots of illegal gates and portals. Okay. So there's all sorts of weird stuff coming back and forth interdimensionally too. But you'll see what happened to CERN. You'll see secret things that, they brought in. You'll see ET and alien craft up there. So most of them they know. And
do you have videos of these? Is this somewhere? And so we can find that Project
Ascension. Okay. INCENSION.
Yeah, the YouTube.
And a couple on Rebel. I think Andrew. So it was done by Andrew Mallet. He's amazing. And so he actually contacted me back in 2016 or so, just because he had seen what I was doing with the old technology,
right?
The old type of biofeedback machines. And he goes, holy crap. So he did one called The Secret Healing of Quantum Medicine. And so I was forget the Reiki stuff and all that and quantum touch and Healy touch and stuff like that. There is some amazing stuff by Dr. Richard Bartlett called Matrix Energetics. I was playing with those kind of people that could sit there, look at you and throw you on the ground. Now that's throwing energy. That's what I wanted to learn. I wanted to go there. So I used to go out to Vancouver whenever they came up, and Richard Bartlett and the whole crew, and I became part of them and went down to San Diego and down to Seattle where he was and learned some of these techniques, because that was the amazing stuff. You are the wave. And mind isn't, you are the matter.
Yeah, and it's this concept that life is coming from you, not at you. That's like the real, once you get that, but you have a great way of visualizing it and actually manipulating it in a way that's actionable, which I really, really dig. And I'm going to be linking this Project Ascension. Ascension, yes. And you have a Mary Rodwell video on there. You're on there a ton, which I love. And it's just one of the coolest channels. So absolutely, I'll be linking this. Guys, check the show notes for that specifically. And you guys,
so amazing.
And just a heads up for the audience, you guys are going to have a lot of links down there, some resource stuff. We're going through some stuff real quick, but I'm going to be linking all of this stuff down in the show notes, and make sure that you check those out if you fancy. So please.
I'm going to just direct you. There's one there towards the end. My quantum one was in there at the beginning, but you actually saw me healing people. You actually saw me using the biofeedback and doing a 3-hour session on Andrew. But remember, we've substituted the genius biofeedback since then, which you'll see them like the progression over the year. But we went from the old to the new. But I actually gave him copper, and he thought he had a copper penny in his mouth because he could taste the metallics. You can do that kind of stuff with energy transference. We can actually we used to take smells like roses, and I could give you rose, just do that one substance for 5 minutes on you, and you'd go in, I think I'm smelling like rose around here. Okay, so you can do very wild stuff. I used to be way back when, and I used to do that just for fun. I used to give them bicarb because everyone was so acidic. So I would give them baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, and they'd start burping.
Just releasing.
You can do fun things, but you got to remember, this is beyond psychic surgery. It has to be taken, and it's very sacred to me to do that. So we do give people 2 weeks to play with. Like seriously, you can go to Genius Biofeedback, start now, download the free PDF, and you'll be running in 20 minutes. You do not have to be a therapist. I'll show you that. But anyway, Andrew and I did that. And there's one on genetics because everyone wants to know about what this genetic splicing is. Well, Patty Broussard, Sergeant Broussard, was with the U.S. Army and NBC Nuclear, Biological, and Chemical Warfare that was taking the looking glass technology back in the 90s. That was what Desert Storm and, freedom teams were about. Okay, so these are unacknowledged projects that they kind of mentored me along for about 5 years. Now I take everything, and I'll use the caveat with a grain of salt too. So use your own discernment. That's why, a lot of times I've found them either embellishing or, they give you so much intel or, that much, and then the rest is crap. So you have to use your own discernment. But when they use the cameras, there's no fudging that. So you'll see the stuff actually landing craft from CERN that came to the Earth. You'll see actual ISS stuff. You will see what happened on there. ETs coming in, docking and not. And a lot of stuff that is genetics, like who are we? Like, why is a clan mother? Because it's our empty DNA. I'm AB positive. The military came to me, and I was taken to them because I was standing up in the court, and a sheriff broke my wrist because I knew this straw man stuff back then. So I don't carry driver's licenses, no taxes, none of that, contracts. And so a lot of stuff in here, we've got seals that go back thousands and thousands of years. That's a galactic seal. So when there are some that had treaties to be here and some not. And that's why we're the jewel of everything. We got a lot of mixture of everyone's genetics in us. And it's almost like where you want to reconnect to. So, to me, the highest, more evolved were things like Lyrans and Vega, like being a vegan, Vegas and Octurians, the people that were more the galactic peacekeepers and the healers. That's my connections to them, or Bear Clan, like a white bear mama. So when I wouldn't stand in the court one day, because, all rise for the judge, your worshipful master, your black robes from the Black Jesuit cult or whatever, Grand Poobah Lodge, they're doing it, the Fred Flintstone thing that day. And a lot of them, I knew were pedophiles, right? I heard the scuttlebug in town. And so I just decided, I'm not rising. I'm not one of your sheeple. I'm not going to stand for this. And it's a chakra thing. And on top of it, you don't tell me what to do. You might ask me, but don't tell me. And we can have a conversation about this. And that's so important when you start learning about matrix energetics or how people interact. It's like, what can we do? What do you think we could do? That's a whole different approach than I am or da-da-da-da-da-da. It's very inconsiderate. And so that sheriff broke my wrist. And so a lot of times, then there's, contempt of this and contempt of that. And then, of course, they like to drop the charges, And even when they were doing stuff with my children, they tried to do abduction charges, and then they figure they can break you. Well, they can't, because I'll have the last laugh, because part of it, that's when I was taken to the Secret Service or SSP. And they said, so you're our clan mother. And this has to do, you need to step up to the plate. And you need to take your courts back. And we will help you. We will get those lands back for you. And you've got 2 swords, power of life and death. And when they're talking about tarts and tartans and coat of arms and heralds, that's what you guys need to know. You need to know your genealogy and your roots and the mother's side. So this is our mother's land, not the father's land. And no one sold it to the monarchy. And you can go look up actually what the monarchy is, and it isn't someone just that's been sitting on ice or lying in state for a few years. But a lot of those things came because I went into Kamloops and I'd been on these residential graves. So they've slaughtered massive 8 million children go missing, even in here, as they think the Canadian jurisdiction, which has gone bankrupt anyway. But as they think of that in these kind of different territories here, so in every nation, every tribe, they've been going up, and soldiers have been going up from these private cabal mercenary armies. They've been surrounding them. They've actually shot them, and they've been taking children out and trafficking them all over. So these are part of what these underground facilities are. And a lot of them in the 50s were built with the Alaska Highway. So while they thought they were building a highway up here for you guys, they went underneath. And they started building things that were illegally powered. And that's where all these dams started coming up. And when you know about water and currency, there's a difference between money and currency. There's just difference between, I'm not a sovereign, between what a national is. All right. So you have your original bloodline. You're on that original treaty agreement from the law of the land should be when our ET ships landed here. And they landed here with treaty. They landed here with Gaia's permission. And I'm talking about pre-flood treaties. And so those in the forces know what they're doing right now. They understand the peace treaties. They're being re-educated in them. That's what Judge Alfred Webre is doing now. And he's doing that at a place called newsinsideout.com and then peaceinspace.org. So you're going to see them doing the new things with, and it doesn't matter. There's no Canada in the States, by the way. This is the America's empire, or a lot of people like to think of it, affectionately as Turtle Island. So I encourage everyone to go look at Turtle Island. So just Google on YouTube what Turtle Island is, and you'll see the original, that if you look down from the satellite, from this perspective, from a much more cosmic viewpoint than our little 3D glasses here, you will see that this continent looks kind of like a turtle, like a tortoise. And you'll see that those territories were put into shells. And those shells were actually some of the territories that you would have from the original galactics. So, it's not British Columbia, this is Bear Clan or Arcturian. And because before the pole shift, you had different kind of land masses. You didn't have all the continents like you have now. But that doesn't mean the original laws don't apply. So they can fake themselves with fake war, horizontal flags, Canadian, American, Russian, I don't care. Those aren't the original flags. They're wartime, maritime. So I don't care who's flying them upside down or with how many stripes or with or without their fringe. There's still stuff way before then. And even to think that, a republic, they want to make everyone back to put you back in the public again. No. There were original peoples here well before 1776, as we all know. So you had clans and tribes and pyramids and Stonehenges here, and the beautification that they had here that's very well documented and kept in secret caves that I've been to. I've been to a Stargate. I've been to the original medicine wheels up here. I've seen things that would blow most people's minds that, are not usually put out in public. So even when we wanted to go, I wanted to figure out how to arrest a queen because she was, these are the people hired, under her royal whatever. And again, she's in everywhere at one point. It didn't matter where you go, every courtroom, everywhere. How do you do that? Well, you got to take down their clan mother because the Dracos and the Reptilians, they all had clan mothers. And that's what everyone's forgetting. It's not the guys. It's the women behind them. So Michael Tessarian does a lot of stuff. So did Santos Bonacci, a friend of mine. And I was doing stuff with these guys, like with Santos 15 years ago. He was going to give me my own radio show. He goes, where'd you get this stuff? He goes, well, I don't think me and Jordan Maxwell know about this stuff in Tessarian. So these guys, and David Icke, this stuff has been around for a long time. And so I literally went to Kamloops. I went to my cousin's, Sean Buckley's law office. I said, Sean, our bloodline, our clan, our tribe, our nation are not going to have agreements with them anymore. So in 2011, I started this, giving them notice. Was it effective? Yes, because if you listen to Sergeant Bassard, you'll know that Queen Elizabeth actually bugged out of Buckingham Palace back then. And she stayed in the States, is what they told me, over Denver Airport. Not far from it, by Cheyenne Mountain. And she was there with Obama's protection till Trump came in 2016. So a lot of people don't realize this. Do we have some authority? Yes, we do. But did we have a big army behind us? No, we didn't. But I know how to do that. At the back time, I used to have her fax number. And there's a difference between all the different castles and public and private and what you do. So I actually had Lucas Monday Wing actually walk into the inner city of London and talk to her general, which is not Russell J. Gould. Anyway, and all those other people. So there's lots of people I'm quite well aware of who's out here and capturing flags. No. They're clan mothers that have a loyal title. And did you ever see Jupiter Descending?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great movie.
Okay. Well, that's the clan mother. So Jupe is the clan mother. A loyal titled. We're the entitled. So whether we like it or not, that's the bloodline. And when that agreement was made with these different groups, entities, whatever, they had a time period. And that's actually what this is. You can go to Project Ascension. You'll see the thing about it talks about the Council of 12. Well, we're talking about the Galactic Council of 12, not only the Andromeda Council, but you're going to talk about, it's not just Jesus. It was actually her in the councils. But anyway, you can go into that and those bloodlines, and it will actually show you that we had ours on copper plates. So after I went to arrest the Queen, I went to Sean Buckley's law office and did the rest of my photocopy because it's oral. But I should never have to put something in print or writ. It's oral. When you get married, it should be handfesting. It's oral. And even law of the land is oral. Simple. But when I do have to put something to paper, which I did, I then went to the RCMP office and I talked to Staff Sergeant Mike Savage, who was First Nations as well. And from there, he was so excited. I'll never forget. He said, I'm a Buffalo. I said, you're a Tatanka. I don't speak any language well. I butchered it well. I said, no. But, if I said to you, like, hey ya ho, hey ya ho, Yahweh, hey yo, Manitou Mekwa. And that's part of the Bear Clan. That's what a national anthem is, guys.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's so different. But once you learn this, you're getting back in touch with your ancestors, and that's part of why I do steaming and all those things. Because when you do steaming and open up that Stargate inside, whether you're a male or a female, it works. You're getting in touch with yourself. You get in touch with your roots. And then you know that no one comes between you and the Creator. No one. And it is inside. So does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And, one of the interesting things that you were talking about is the bloodlines and the actual ancestry and the treaties with the extraterrestrials or the UFOs that landed here that our bloodlines got off of. So yep. Are we saying here that there's a bunch of different, and we've already talked about that it's a melting pot. This is a very, grand central for all of these different races to come here. Sure. So are you under the idea that there's a bunch of UFOs that landed, like the Pleiadians over here, the Anunnaki over here, and basically anything that's progenitive from that, any bloodline from that, has an original treaty that extraterrestrial race formed whenever they landed here? Now, who did they form that treaty with? Somebody that was already here, or the other races? Okay,
there's international, so they're going to be part of a nation. So the nations are run by clan mothers. So that's the Hague Court, the original Hague Court, were the old hags. I don't look that old, but I am one of those old hags. Okay, so but anyway, they always expect someone with white hair and a little cane, like so on metformin or something. But anyway, right. It's true. Anyway, I would go to protected and sacred, like here, and again, you're getting the meeting of the clans. So then you had intertribal, right? So you had inter-clan, you had intertribal, you form your nations, things like that. And then you have the galactic ones. So, for example, what you would call, and this is where you can go to Tribal Laws, Mr. Meredith Quinn. Patty did a lot of it, so did I, because it's the bloodline stuff, right? And then you got a soul thing, which is another thing. That's when you get into the weird stuff like soul to soul transfers and, what's going on in regen beds and all kind of weird stuff now. But in here in walk-ins and stuff. So, those treaties are in place. And they're still going to have to abide by them. So we were actually well within our rights. The tribes, and we go into the bloodlines there because there's like 30, 40. I mean, it's not just 8. They lied to me in nursing and medicine.
Yeah.
I may be positive, but, you can get mixtures here. And it's very rare that you get people that are going, from one to the other. But they figured out how to water down the races by making these alien injections called Rogams and Winrows, so that you could actually RH positive clan or tribe, like Patty used to be like O positive, like RZRZ. So there's actually way more, just like you got a social insurance number, there's a genetic code, which they don't want you to know about the mitochondrial DNAs and the haploids and all these kind of different things, but they can totally track you right down. They know. And, that's why I suggest people get what's called an Eldon card. It's ELDON. Go find your own blood type at home, because you know what? This is all about that, and those are so simple. It's one prick of the finger, and in 1 minute, you'll know at home what you are. So Amazon has them or whatever, but these treaties were put into place. So in my mom is like Lutsk, Zachek, Buzikavich, right? So that's like the ringing cedars of Russia. Okay. That's Siberia, Russian. So, the Russian bear, they tell you that for a reason. Yeah. Arcturian. Where did the Noah's Ark Tyrians land?
Damn.
Okay. So in here, it gives you a whole different where those gates are and why the wars have been fighting back and forth in those borders for thousands of years, trying to gain that territory. And so they had treaties there. So you had like what you would call Anglo Saxons, Mercia, Northumbria, all the tribes of Cleopatra went under Noah's, or actually Zoa's, Arcturian treaty. And then you would have the Palladians with the Palladian of Troy. Then you had Solomon's seal, which was Isis, Ra, and El. So you start knowing where these people were, or up here, some people think, this native thing, they don't even know a lot of it because they've been residential schooled or co-opted so much. And I've talked to people. So we have what's called, down east, they have a lot called wampum belts. So your constitution, if you actually look at it, go down to the East Coast and look at the Micmacs, but start looking up what Micmac or Iroquois clan mothers were. They wasn't the founding fathers. They tried to kill all the, founding mothers, actually. They were already here. And so that's where your whole things, these satanic things about, Thanksgiving and stuff like that was from killing and adrenochroming. Like they would call the long pig or a pig roast, right? And they would actually be what you call adrenochrome today. It's been going on for so long, people don't realize. And when you don't realize what the foundation was and the whole Constitution was actually based on, the Iroquois Constitution. So those 5 and 6 nations, and how the Illuminati deep state and Freemasons came in. Washington started to create his own, besides country. You got to remember all these things is you had 12 different nations very strong. And then you had treaties with some, and some came here illegally through the gates, which we're trying to get rid of now. And so we're well within our rights to do that. And alloidial title, you can look at all the stuff we showed you. They actually recognize that, whether it was Standing Rock or Wounded Knee or Judge Curran down here in Canada back even in the 1800s, they would say that you can't come in because you don't have a treaty. So a lot of people that are native on reserves are classified as a third world citizen. It's classified as a prisoner of war camp. And so they don't have first world or international status like I do. And, when people are in the public or in the private sector, you're in corpus juris secundum, you're in a second world. And so we want to basically get people back into their original customs, usages, and laws, and languages, right? So that's part of it. So for me, the best part is to do gift and barter, like the original days, and stay off the commerce grid. But having said that, there's a whole system coming through that at least will be one step better for people in the transition, in there. And I don't like people getting caught into some of what they confuse common law and then going into, they want to capture, everyone wants to get their birth certificate money back, their $8-10 million, or even worse is put your social insurance into, there's a utility thing, GMEI, and you take your social insurance number, put a space between each one, and you'll see where you're being traded and your genetics are going. Some people have hundreds, if not thousands. Okay, so this is stuff very different, but you know what? Hopefully this is all going to end shortly enough. So
yeah, we're working on it. I feel it all coming down, and it's all coming to a head here, and especially back to these type of understandings and ideas. Now, so can we cash out our own value on ourselves? Because that's technically we own that, right? Because it's us.
Well, these are all being changed over, right, to the quantum financial system. It will be based on frequency and stuff too, right? Like I know everyone's going for this stuff these days, right? there's a difference between lawful tender and fiat currency, right? But they're changing it over. That's being switched all over. Even they're all holographically chipped now. I really think we still need to go back to what I did. And I mean, I know it's probably mind blowing for a lot of people, but from 2010, when I gave away my whole health center, because all I knew is I needed to protect my children and other children. And I needed to find something safe outside the country. But having realized, it is our land. It is our mother's land. And in here, that's what I wanted to do, is protect them. So I went off the grid. I actually went cashless for 6 years. So I was like a little angel, like felt like, an angel on a mission.
Did you have any issues, or did just the universe provide? And you probably came across all sorts of folks willing to help.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely had no problems. I didn't have to think about that. To this day, I still don't have an ATM card. I don't have banking. I ban and with the kings and the kingdoms, when you actually know how the banking started, and the Khazarian mafia. And they traded in genetics first nights, right? They were trading in. And so these contracts with, marriages and stuff, they basically captured the children, and they figured they could do it. So no, I don't want to cash in on birth certificates and stuff. We actually, in 2013, when I went to go arrest the Queen, the actual agreement with the Draco, which was on a star disc and also on copper plates. So what I didn't finish is that when I went into Kamloops in 2013, I met with Staff Sergeant Mike Savage and the RCMP, and then I met with the sheriffs and then land titles. I laid it all down, and I said, you know what? This is done. And you're now being given, if I have to come here and walk myself to every one of your, things here, I'm going to do it, which I did. I then went to Nesquith Band, and I spent a lot of time here also in the Kootenays, but it's called the SIAST with Marilyn James. And I learned a lot of stuff living with these people on and off for 4 or 5 years. Amazing. I've been to see hieroglyphics and sacred sites not shown to white people, even, that they've kept sacred, but you can imagine, they're copper plates, and those copper plates are 20 pounds each. You've heard of probably Moses came down with the 10 Commandments on plates.
Yeah. And, Thoth with the emerald tablets. And then I think of that Father Crespi, that story of down at, that's a fascinating story. But it's same, it just rings all those bells for me. Absolutely.
Those plates exist, and those plates I have held, just like Joseph Smith and those plates. In this case, the one that I got to hang out with were copper plates, and there were several of them. And so when they called into council, I was the only clan mother there, and I'm the only one from the white tribes, from the Noah's Ark there. And the rest were from some of the red tribes, like the Peace Pipe and stuff like that. And so what happened is that we met, and those copper plates were absolutely amazing. And they were about 20 pounds each. And from that, they marched them to Ottawa here, which is kind of like a second Rome, by the way, like to Washington, D.C. Just trying to find a picture. Yeah,
we're the first Rome. We're where Rome, went to really, and then you guys just kind of have a secondary.
All roads are not going to Rome anymore. Yeah. But anyway, I know a little hard to see there, this with the camera, but you can see they're kind of like, we'll do it before it flips. There they are, some of the tribes with those copper plates.
Wow.
And they went nation to nation. I think that was the one maybe in front of Winnipeg, I'm not sure. But we met in council, and away they went. And that's actually what an agreement with the Draco and reptilians look like.
What?
Yeah. So there's your plates. Okay, so I've held things and original artifacts most people have never seen. But you can just Google, and I can send it to people. But I met with also someone called Timothy Phillips. He's known as Eagle Eye Man out of the Alberta area. But that's Bear Clan territory up in there. Dene area, came over the Siberian Strait. So a lot of that is actually in those areas, original territories. And, Patty will show you actually on Mars where she'll show you the actual territories. So you will have USA's got some territory, Russia's got some territory, some ET's got territory. So you actually can see territorial maps from even other races. So Obama was at one point trying to give 40 cities to Mars, and they would get 40 cities back. So people don't realize they've been sold and used and abused so many times they don't even know. So all that stuff is ending. So in 2013, we severed. I had the choice to renew it, and I chose not to. I grew up in Saskatoon, seeing what Monsanto does. I see the damage, with these injections, the drugs, everything. It's just a crapshoot. And so I've one of the few people I actually met with Mr. Monsanto, and I spent 4 days with him. They were trying to woo me down to Florida, and then they wanted to go take over Greenland. So, they've been used. They've tried to get me into the Illuminati, into the men's Illuminati, I might add to, into these deep states. And I'm just not for hire, for sale, and that's why it was very easy for me just to, at that time, I don't need that. I'm going to go find a teepee or I'm going to go camping. Yeah. And I did. I enjoyed it in the Kootenays because I spent all that time learning from people. And that's where a lot of the expats were. And that's where I learned, biodynamic gardening and living in community and off grid. The best kind of stuff is up there. I shouldn't tell you, but it's in the Kootenays. Even Edgar Casey said that. Some of the cleanest waters we have even was documented by Dr. Misuramoto. I just went with Eloise, one of the elders there, Bear Clan elder too. And we were doing a thing on News Inside Out, but because of all the clear cutting up here. So you'll see a lot of my friends are in jail. There are a lot of women that are in here on the front line saying, no tar sands, no more pipelines. It's killing our environment. It's killing everything. So it's not just me, out here with the 5G towers getting burnt up or trying to make Faraday cages. And I'm really well known at News Inside Out too, because I was a whistleblower. And so I talked about how they were using what kind of combinations of drugs in palliative care and then taking them for adrenochrome. So I know these kind of things, what is nefarious and how they've been doing it, how the palliative care, even what's going on now with the clotting and stuff, right? I've been meeting with people like Chris Sky and Dr. Hoff up here and all these different supposedly frontline doctors, but my gosh, they just want to push ivermectin up your butt again. And I'm a colon hydrotherapist. I chastised them. I really did. Ivermectin is a drug. It's owned by Merrick people. It is so dangerous. You have no idea what synthetics and what nanochipping and femichips can be in there, including DNA. They don't tell you half this stuff, but this petroleum stuff is like black goo or, graphene itself. So this is not just about putting stuff in there. It's synthetic. It will never be nearly as well as water, like an enema, or if you want some herbs, wormwood, Chernobyl, Artemisia, call it whatever you want. There's 101 other ways to do, and 3,000 ways. Biofeedback, herbs, oils, baking soda, kalimas, crystal amethyst beds to get, out if you want to deworm or take a parasite out. So this kind of thing that they're not talking about, you're putting the money right back into the same people that are giving the injections. So Pfizer, Merrick, do the studies, BlackRock, Vanguard, Soros's group, the monarchy, you're just giving it right back to them. And you don't think they pre-plan that and what they're really going to tell you. So, I encourage people to go to the pharmacist, go to their little blue satanic Bible. It's called a CPS compendium, and go look up the side effects. And we know a lot of them came with blank sheets. So that should tell you something. Yes, but in there, you can look up side effects to ivermectin. And it doesn't matter about doses. You don't know what's going to trigger it, when it's going to happen, when the payload's going to deliver. And your root chakra, you bypass everything to filter it. You've got no filters. They got you directly like if you call about psychic hooks, and if you know how they do rituals of black magic, I know Jesse Zabater has been coming out a lot. I did some stuff at Dark Outpost too, but this is part of it. And I think people should be a little bit brighter than they are. I don't know why they haven't figured out that part. Or Shikono bark is actually called, that's what the HCQ quinine replacement is. So I teach people, get Shikono bark. You really, really want that quinine? Go get Shikono bark, CIN or SIN. It's to get rid of your sins. And then the other thing, which is funny, is they call it Jesuit bark and China bark. You think that's a joke? I sit back and go, people are really that gullible? Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
And I've looked after people that have had ivermectin side effects or taken it prophylactically, but when you can possibly have a seizure, high blood pressure, rashes, everything else, trouble breathing.
Yeah, none
so
of that.
Knocks out brain damage, right?
Yeah, you don't get that from natural things.
No.
This holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up for brekkie, lunch, or dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. They just drop them at your door, people. You'll save time and eat well. You'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while taking all of your holiday to-dos in stride with good meals in the tum-tum. If you're too busy with all this stuff, these meals are easy to get done. They taste great. All you've got to do is head over to factormeals.com/expandingreality50 and use code expandingreality50 to get 50% off. That's code expandingreality50 at factormeals.com/expandingreality50 to get 50% off. Yeah.
No, and even synthetically, I was talking about, when we're talking about baking soda to people, I said, I'm like with Robert O. Young. I'm going to be doing another big thing with Dr. Ariel Policano and Dr. Robert O. Young, because he's amazing. I think he's great for live blood cell. Marcus Rothkranz, all these great people here, David Wolf. But in here, just taking half a teaspoon, sometimes 2-3 times a day, and just a glass of water, that's enough to get your pH up with the litmus paper. So everyone in my field all has litmus paper. It looks like Scotch tape. You put it in your first morning urine and you find out what it is. Okay? Because if you go in here, even though I've got spring water, it might not be as alkaline as I need it. Right. It's not. I need it to be more alkaline. So some springs are actually acidic, or people are taking greens and they still have the funguses. But the minute you add something, like coffee will take like 12 cups of water to neutralize. So just adding that little bit of baking soda now into here, there it goes. That's all that took.
You guys, check out the video linked in the show notes. There's a whole video version of this show, by the way. So just check out the video because she's doing some amazing things here.
So again, you sometimes don't repeat things. And this is why I do this, because you don't do it until you see it.
Yeah.
And I operate differently when I give interviews. It's because I'm trying to drop you,
right.
Go back. And if I speak too fast for you, there's a setting that says change speed, go to 3/4. But in here, you can add that, and the other thing too is salt and water, right? People are dehydrated. They have no power. They're acidic. That means you have no power. That means people can power over you.
Yep.
Hydro is power. And so just simply things, it's not about taking salt, Celtic salt, black salt, Himalayan, that's a tri-salt mixture. It's about salt water.
Yeah. We do
salt water.
Sprinkle the Celtic salt in each glass. And also we do this just simply because if you're just drinking water and even the best of water, it's going to flush your nutrients out. And so you're not replenishing them with anything, especially with as much water as my wife and I drink. So actually we do this with every little bottle as well. I didn't do this because you were here. This is just here, but this is a company out here in Mineral Wells, Texas. It's called Mineral Wells. And this is alkaline water. And they even have and this is not a commercial for them either. This is just here. We drink this. And so it's got little different settings for alkalinity on it. And it's, like I said, made right down the street. It's pretty cool.
Well, and this is the whole thing. I go with my 80-year-old girlfriend where I'm staying at today. But like literally, we go to findaspring.com. I go to Canmore Springs, and you guys have got to watch it because the findaspring.com that was set up by a friend of mine who's in Texas. You should get him, David Avocado Wolf.
I need to talk to him. We know so many of the same people. Jim Gale, who I had on a bonus show last night, he's really good friends with him. And then I follow him on Twitter, and we've been pinging off of each other. But yes, you're probably the final straw. I'll just reach out to him.
I'll get his Christina. I got his Robin.
Oh, grateful. Even better.
I've got all that. Yeah. But, in here, I think that's a lot of it. If you have to forge, he's amazing. I mean, I did want to spend a lot of time, and I have. I've been on different cities with him. We were supposed to go on tour, actually. Oh. And then I broke my ankle. So, I mean, I know how to break ankles and knees, by the way, and don't need an orthopedic surgeon. I mean, they laugh. They just call it the Karen phenomena because Karen's not going to the hospital. Karen doesn't even have a health card. So, there's no way I'm going.
Yeah. Let me ask you before we get too far away from it. Baking soda, is there a specific brand or anything? Is this over the counter, or which one would you avoid, or which one would you recommend?
Yeah, I was just going to come to that. I got to tell about this. Don't use Arm & Hammer. Yeah. These things are synthetic. You buy things like ivermectin. You don't know the chemical composition, but I have a thing I put up on my Facebook, or get a hold of me, but Arm & Hammer is synthetic. It's not fit for human consumption. Even, don't even get it. So you can get things like red meal, or go to the health store, or go online and look for natural forms of it, and baking soda does not have aluminum. That's soda. The soda is clean. It's the powder that's got the aluminum. But anyway, if you can get something like that, and Dr. Robert O. Young's got some amazing drops. They're 4 carbonates at the pH Miracle. And up here, because a lot of people are getting really ill, and with this radiation coming in, and of course, I know all about radiation. I have Geiger counters, alpha and beta from Amazon. I got the SOAKS radiation and EMF and nitrates in food one. And then I've also got another mini little RF one, like an acoustimeter that when you're measuring for EMF, okay, they just started coming out with some of the 5G, and 5G is not one thing, it's a spectrum. So, we've gone from 2.4 hertz, now it's up to 26. And if they blow at anything, you will be fried like an insect with a magnifying glass. And that's what's happening. This is a radiation illness, which that's why I've got everyone right now on potassium iodine, and the other one better. Everyone should have potassium iodide, because I'm talking about nuclear stuff. That's why I'm on the road measuring it. And that's why I know what happened when these explosions and leakages are going on.
I want to talk about this. So tell me about the potassium iodine. Any to avoid, any to get?
Well, this one's made in Canada. You sometimes they're up to, you can get pills. Okay. You can get liquids up here. And this is the potassium iodide. You see, iodine is different than iodide. Yes. So I keep some of this, and I've had a lot of women hair loss. Even since I came back into this area now, after a month, I go like this, and I've got, there it is. Yeah. Now there's like hairs coming out. Okay. A lot of people are talking about thinning hair. Cats having hair all over.
I've heard this.
Animals now.
Lindsay Sharman put a video up about this the other day about extreme excessive hair loss. So this has been something recent. Some people think it's from shedding from the poke, but also radiation. Yeah.
Part.
Potassium iodine.
They work in tandem with each other. And I know what I'm talking about. So go to, and I want to say why, because I'm an experiencer. So go to News Inside Out and just put Karen Macdonald in the search bar, and you're going to see me with Robert Young. You'll see with Lorraine Andres. I did all this. We did the live blood before, and then did our biofeedback, and then after, which is why we're going to take it another step and go with Dr. Robert Young this week, coming up at Genius Biofeedback.
Very cool.
But in here, the iodide is so important. Iodine is different, and you should have both. But I've had women bleeding when they first came to me. And this was documented again at News Inside Out, because I want something documented, I call the judge up, war crimes judge like Alfred Webre. Yeah. Hi, can you videotape me? So he gave me my own channel now. It's called TrueTube.
Awesome.
I have TrueTube. And if you go to Karen Lusick McDonald on my YouTube, you'll only see like 3. Me going, weird stuff about gene decode and like Patty and stuff like that. But I was doing some really cool stuff at one point too, like Club 144. I mean, I've been on the Leak Project, Viennemans. I've been on Charlie Ward's, Revolution Radio. I've been on a lot over the, last few years. So, but I think if you get these, you don't want to see what I've seen. I've seen people bleeding out their rectum. We've got children bleeding out their eyes, ears, nose. This is not natural. Neither is drops suddenly. I'm doing a lot with Sherry Strong coming out this week. So you're going to see me on Vaccine Choice Canada. You're going to see me on Children's Defense Fund now.
Now, is this all something nefarious that's going on with the radiation as far as just something synthetic, or is there an organic process that happens from our sun and just in a cyclical way as well? Is it all?
Well, you got both going on. Both going on, but it's the artificial stuff that's not doing too well with it. That's why even with Genius Biofeedback, Ryan Williams and Dr. Ariel Pelican, they direct, this is a baby Tesla cool. I have an LED and my own PEMF. So you don't have to pay $5,000. Some of these are a couple $100. I'm trying to save people money, because why rent the veal? A lot of stuff that I saw, like, these TV screens and stuff like that are $30,000. That's 20 years old, 20 years ago to me. Yeah. So there's really cool stuff that you can get on that's wearable that protects me. So when I go out, or I'll show you one of the ones I have here. This is a wearable air tamer.
I know somebody, my friend Brent from Museum of Tarot, and he makes these. Yeah. See, all of the stuff you're talking about, it's independently. I've seen these, but not together like this. Like, you've really got the arsenal.
Okay. Hopefully. Okay. These were on Amazon, and they go as low as $20, by the way. Okay. So there's some that go up to $200.
And what's that called again?
I've been using these for a couple years. This is not new to me. So I did a whole show even with Tony Pantalleresco. He's probably one of the leading experts, because especially in nano, femitech, and pentatech, and to do with Morgellon limes. He's a herbologist worth having on as well. He's amazing. And his herbs and bees works, but he does a lot of stuff to do with making buckets and new fans to deflect 6G. So they're playing like with copper and different magnets on an oscillating. We do weird stuff, Van and graphs.
Awesome. So it's a fan that literally blows the waves away?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Tony Pantalleresco is doing that. It's, I think, Amok Roy or something. I'll have to get you the website, but I'll get it to you so that people can have it. But his, I did a show with him at newsinsideout.com. You'll see Judge Weber and Tony and myself, and then his contact is at the bottom of that. So those are all there for you to get. But this is why, because when you actually touch this is not just blowing smoke and all the chemical haze from supposedly the fires, supposedly over the dumps here.
Which I want to talk to you about. I have it noted, but go on.
Southern BC. But what it does is it will not only clear smoke, but it's got negative ions. But if you actually hold it up to you, it tasers you. So if you want to test one, if it's working, the little point here, if you do it, it will shock you like a taser if it's working properly. And so what happens is if someone is shedding, and the right word is not transmission and shedding, it's called contact vaccinosis. And you will see that's why I developed all these techniques for what you call spike protect. So I'm going to give you some websites and some ideas, because everything I'm doing is leading up to that. Because there is a shedding, it's accentuated, the radiation, all this type of thing with the nanotech we called black goo. So, you know, like I said, at Miles's thing at the Basis Project, we called it black goo. Like
it's graphene, right?
Hydroxide. So if you want the heavy duty stuff, if you go to Rumble at Vaccine Choice Canada, Pamela Richardson put a beautiful PowerPoint together, what they're doing to that and to the children. And you need to realize how it's being spread. And it's through something we call Tesla-phoresis that was developed at Rice University. So that's why I really got into the biofeedback, because you know what? You are the wave. You're electrical and biological, and we are the magnets. Because you know what? There are ways to beat this.
So what was that device called one more time?
It's called an air purifier. It's just literally air purifier, air tamer. It's an Amazon. That's a $40 one or $50. Okay, so it comes on high or low. And they've got one for children. You can put it on dogs, you know, just USBs it. And this thing is like, this one's like a year old. I've got like 5 of them. I keep them in my purse, because if I go into a store, I mean, I am like charged up here. Like you think, like I'm just buzzing. But, you know, having said that, I'm going to tell you, this wasn't enough to save my little ass. I was injured by Andrew when we were up in Dawson Creek, getting out of the, you know, hot zone here. So I went to Dawson Creek, just like the movie, Dawson Creek.
I was about to ask. So Dawson Creek is a real place. It's not a fictional CW.
Northern British Columbia, right between Alberta and Saskatchewan, way up there. Next thing you're in your Yukon or Fort Nelson or something.
Is it just as magical?
No, don't go there.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
Maybe in the Peace River part, but no, that's where they've done a lot of this nefarious Alaska highway stuff. Dang. So the fracking, the mining is disgusting out there. They've destroyed that entire tundra, and then we'll talk about the Bennett and this dams that are all going to have to come out, like the Hoover and what, you know, bodies floating and what's going on, like the Three Gorges. Well, we got Revelstoke, and we got all those to take out yet. Those are powering up illegal alien stuff. Okay, that have to go. But anyway, back to Dawson. So I got injured there. Andrew did that, and then I went and basically shattered all here. Like all my dental is just shattering, and I lost a bunch of teeth and loosening. And so I had to do something very experimental called a plasma-rich fibrin. So we basically took my blood out, and I put it on my Genius, by the way, and to clean my blood and restructure it. And they put it back into the bone. So you see a lot of it when people are having bone facial stuff or for construction, and it's because of the bone loss. It was damaged. And so what happened, make a long story short, I went to supposedly a biological dentist in Calgary, which was not biological, which was not holistic, which was jabbed. And within a couple hours of having the dental stuff, and I've recovered so many people now, they are getting paralyzed in bed. You don't know what it's going to be. But a lot of people are getting like so drained from energy. They touch you, they loose harvest you, they got their nanotech in you, and they start pulling you apart. Well, I passed out for 7 hours. And then I woke up and I had blood running down my legs and clotting. And that is from the contact vaccinosis jumping. Okay, so I have first thing. So that's why, and I took Spike Protect. So we have a company up here called Real Raw Food. And basically it's a 6 herb thing. So it's got like, you know, schizanderberry, and it's got nattokinase in it, serrapeptase, that kind of thing, anti-clotting. And this is what we're seeing, is that when you get near these people, and remember that the PCR I have to teach people. I can either, as a nurse, here's your nursing thing. I take the like evil stuff. You can either inject it into the vein or you can shove it up here, or I can shove it into the rectum, or I can just touch it anywhere it could be, or like a nitro patch. You don't know how it's going to be. We just need it absorbed and on contact. Or spray now. They're going to spray them. Or geoengineering. There's a good example. Or in the water.
This is what they say about the PCR test too itself, weren't there? Because there were people that were pulling those apart, and there was tiny little black goo. So you actually did this, and they were steaming masks, even those paper masks that are obviously saving lives, right? It was more about just getting in contact with this stuff. So they wanted to test as many people, and they wanted as many people as they could to have these masks, because you didn't need to catch or get the vaccine to have this running through you. They had other means of slipping it in you. Do you think that this is going on with the chemtrailing too, that they're just spraying the shit over us?
Oh yeah.
Now let me ask you this, because
just look up there, hey.
Yeah. Well, it looks beautiful where you are. But also, so I wanted to ask you about this. So with all of the spraying over the skies, with all of this effort to get everybody bound into the system and lower and keep them into their root chakra, it seems like this has been ramped up, this attempt, right? And we've known this since 2020, but God, longer than before. And Jordan Maxwell and Santos Bonacci have also both had the honor of speaking with on the show. So you're in good hands here. So one of the things I was thinking about this though, is it seems like that there is a vibratory element to this place, and then the whole of the population, we're all ascending in this vibration. And it seems that it's counteracted, or at least attempted to be counteracted by all of the stuff going on. You're talking about the food, the water, the air. They're spraying everything, these vaccines, the masks, the PCR test, which Carrie Mullis even came out and said, hey, the creator of that thing, and said, hey, don't use it for that, because you could spin it to tell it whatever you want. So it seems like with all of this, maybe the ramp up is because we're all raising in vibration collectively, regardless of what they're doing. And so it seems that they're ramping it up just to kind of anchor and get as much loosh out of us as they can before we eventually slip through the cracks and we're gone forever. Do you feel that this is what's going on?
Yeah, well, that's definitely a part of it. Like, and that's part of the thing too, is when you see the International Tribunal, you're talking about nations now, and tribunals here, like, this is something I've got from Judge Alfred Webre, right? On here. I mean, the military, all those guys recognize the plates, but this whole vibratory thing, we're trying to get everyone up and through. And the thing is that once you've done the mutation, in there, I'm dealing with some people now to do with like actual regen beds. I mean, I've actually have friends of mine that are in the forces on and off the planet and below the planet. I assist them. So, it's not what people always think. We've had this kind of technology break down because we've had soldiers too radioactive come back or fry out a machine. People seem to think that there's someone else that's going to save them, or you're going to, eat all the crap you want and peanut butter and jelly and have all the coffee and everything else. And then we're just going to put you in some suntan bed and like irradiate you. That's not the way this works. You got to have the DNA. And that's part of why the genius is so important. It's putting back the original you, that vibratory you. You have a vibration up here. And if we can make the reconnections and open up those acupuncture meridians or blocked your chakras, that's why I've gone into this technology. It's not something they taught me as a nurse, let me tell you. And they gave me those like ugly red roses.
It's beautiful. I like the outfit. And you bring that back. I like that. Yeah.
At least you knew what we were back then.
Hat and all that stuff.
I'd take the two stripes off and still wear the white,
there you go.
White hat thing. But, in here, you knew who was a nurse. But having said that, when I was in there in my 20s, back in 1984, don't have to go too far. But anyway, that's 40 years ago almost. My eyes were actually jet brown black. Right now, they're blue and gray.
What?
So when you start doing cleansing and you start knowing about energy and reflection and iridology and raising your vibration, that changes. I could do your blood cell and do genius on you, and your entire picture will change. How do we do that? Because the genius is not about sound. It's about actually pulsing you. So we either wear wristbands or put earbuds in, or bone conducting type of things, or I've got special gold plated frequency that actually pulse into you like that. So I was taking too long. So I was going to, create my own regen thing. So which I did. I had my massage table. I had my amethyst crystal biomat from the Biomat e-store with Christina. And now they've got a sound acoustical thing, which I'm going to use with the Genius. I was doing this and doing drumming and all that stuff 20 years ago. And it's just as valid then as it is now, because it raises your vibration. Sound is more powerful than light. as steam is more powerful than anything. That's why I steam women on their vaginal chairs. And I don't know if I'm able to screen share it, down the road, but I can with you, but I can show you that because most people don't know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
And they need to have the visual of it because they just don't know even how many people are at home, like up, down, I'm sure Texas, but in here we've got what's called smart meters. And so how many people know how to make a smart meter shield to get some basically metal mesh, like cheesecloth that goes over that meter for like $2-3 and get a copper wire and ground it, because otherwise they're hallucinogenic harvesting you 100%.
See, so this is the actionable type stuff I'm talking about. So we're going to do a smart meter kit.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, guys, check the show notes. All the stuff she is talking about, as much of it as I can find, it will be linked below. So definitely check this out. And also, I've already told you about Matt Landman. He does a lot of work with the Sparrow Clothing is what he owns. And it's EMF shielding. You made the movie Frankenskies. We've had him on the show. Amazing dude. So again, I got to connect you too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in here, like when one of my friends couldn't get up, that's what he did while he was in bed. One of the guys I was recovering. I do one-to-one nursing. Okay. So I do people for sessions. I still see them. I just saw 2 people before I talked to you today, as weird as it was all in North Carolina today. You never know where it's going to be. Yeah. I spend more time in the States than I do up here, actually. And I'm more well-known there, actually, or in Ireland or in different parts of the UK for what I do, actually. And, but in here, here's some, fabric for $15 out of Amazon, some EMF shielding. And we just got some fabric glue, and the guys made me this, so I could go out incognito,
Safe and stylish. I love it.
It is. And, people don't realize this is actually just how simple it is, because you're getting hit here. And I was telling you, I just did a show at 144 Club with Andre Marino, and halfway through the show, they hit us with some sort of plasma technology, and my screen started going. So they were using the computers to come and target him and I.
Damn.
And so once I put this up in front of the thing, it's very cool. Go to like 49 minutes if you find that one I did. And you'll see the distortion stop because it was protecting us, So these are simple things that people can do at home. And it's just stuff that I've learned. Unless you show people, they won't do it.
Yeah. This is another thing I wanted to ask you about, because it seems like everything, and I mean everything, has been infiltrated by something. Graphene, pollution, pesticides, preservatives, all of that stuff. So it seems like the list of things that are going to keep you at a high vibration is very, very low. And it seems also that it's very unavailable or very hard to get, not readily available, let's say, for a lot of people. So this is the thing. This is, again, why I'm going to be linking all of this stuff. So, guys, definitely check the show notes again. But again, it feels like overwhelming, really. So what?
Not. You take it down one piece at a time. You learn about this. Oh, what's the smart meter for it? Well, I'll take you down. I hand out stuff to like National Citizens Alliance, right? Talking about all the 5G, 6G towers. I can tell you what's going on. They're building 20G in Canada and the States, guys. 5G is 3 years old.
And it's
Try
not
6
faster.
and 7. It's worse in the rule now.
And it's frustrating because 4G was way better. Like we don't get cell service for shit. Like it seems like the web's okay.
Yeah. Here's your smart meter on the house. Make sure if it's in the house that you put some tinfoil or another mesh there. That's it. Here's like what? That's like aluminum mesh, like we all use it for like, sprouting. You put it around here.
Screens, window screens.
Yeah, bug screen. That's what I got it for. You can get it there at Rona, Canadian Tire, Home Hardware. 6.5-inch C-clamp, or just get some like wire or duct tape I've done. Why do I carry this? Because I go to people's houses. I'm out nursing all the time. I'm in a camper. I'm on frontline. I am frontline nursing.
So you go to someone's home
I'm
and
doctoring.
Put this over while you're there?
Yeah.
I just for your stay.
Darn right. And then you take a little copper wire, those copper wires, grounding wires.
Yeah. You just wrap it around and just ground it.
Wrap it around, touch the box, and put it on a ground stick. So I've used a nail. I've used a ground stake. I've used rebar. Do whatever you have to. But
can you go straight in with the copper, right? You can just push the wire straight in the ground?
Yeah, it's not rocket science, guys.
Yeah.
Then they can still read the meter. If you put tinfoil, you'll have someone like you don't want to talk to in about half an hour at your house. They know. That's how much luge harvesting that means to them. They'll be there. So just make sure it's a nice open aluminum mesh. It's not there. We're starting to use chicken wire and stuff like that for 6G. But that's just something simple that you can do.
Yeah.
I do this all the time to every home or every office I go into, because I'm not going to end up having them target like this. And like I said, even though we did it here, they managed to come through the TV screens the other day. And I have had where people have been on holding a phone. That's why you saw me initially with this phone holder.
Bag.
You guys should never be touching this. These are smart technology. Someone just got arrested the other day because their fridge was listening to them and they ended up in jail. Okay.
Because they were talking about something?
Surveillance, militarized, armed residential technology. That's their technology you're playing with, guys. So this woman actually called me. Actually, it was Andrew when we were going up to Dawson Creek again. Anyway, she went to call me and they burnt her. She ended up with a 2nd-degree burn. They burnt her arm.
Just from
like
holding
she'd
the
been
phone?
radiated. Yeah.
They could just send like a pulse through it or something and just go, okay, explode now or heat up.
They did. And you know what?
and it
the
makes me-
funnest one? I've gone in a car in a 2011, my girlfriend's Lincoln Continental, when we were going by CFB Suffield, because I was being funny, I thought. Okay, it's an American, Canadian, and British base, right? So all of them are down there. It's like Area 51 and everyone's down there, you know. Anyway, so we were going over that just outside of Calgary, and I said, welcome to Area 51. I could be your tour guide. I'm Karen. I can tell you all about our stuff. Canada's Area 51. And I joke not. They took her car over like an Uber. They slammed on the brakes and they took over. So they took us for a ride. And we went through all these towers and, I mean, conglomerates and monoliths and whatever they got going down in the Alberta highway. But you don't realize that. So that's why I have a 2003 old truck.
Yeah.
Preaching.
You know, it makes me think of those Galaxy S7s or whatever, all the phones that were blowing up. You know, it seems like maybe they kind of had a version of the technology that was meant to harm you but not destroy the device, and it actually ended up just destroying the device. So this may have been sort of a smoking gun that the technology was being rolled out, just not effectively. Kind of that revelation of method.
Yeah, I'm going to take you. This is one of the ones I did with Lorraine when we were down in Kelowna. So these are the live blood cells. I know it's a little hard because I've got reflection on outside, but you know, we're in there with these machines, and she's now converted basically all her clients. She's doing this because I invented a live blood cell detector off the Genius biofeedback. So we just use the Genius now. It's much more accurate in here. But in here, we started seeing all these critters coming in. You know, what you call the jumping and the graphene and the hydra and all that weird stuff. This is actually going back like 2 years ago. We were on it before I think anyone was. You know, so we documented that really well with Judge Alfred Webre. And we started talking about what we could do, you know, I was the one that brought the vials, by the way.
Jeez.
You know, people don't realize like what we were actually doing there and what we were seeing in the jumping and stuff. And it's nice. But the other thing too is what people weren't getting is that they were coming down with rashes, like people that were going in, my clients, into the plains or going to the dentist or a hairdresser and coming down with, you know, leprosy. This was not contact dermatitis. That was leprosy and the bubonic plague we had to do therapy for. So people don't realize. So all these different things that you would see, all the conditions in the live blood cell, I made a Genius tester for it.
That's genius.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, really, I thought I did well. So, you know, we could actually go in there. So having said that, that's a great thing if someone wants, is find someone that's unjabbed, but is to get a live blood cell done, you know, because then you can see it yourself. And sometimes that's what we need. But Tony Pantalleresco, again, leading in here, you know, on these technologies. I wanted to learn from some of the best people because they're experienced. He's the one with the Lena Freeland for, you know, Bye Bye Blue Skies, you know, and that's what I was doing. I was talking about the contact vaccinosis and the reverse engineering of it. That's what I did.
Wow.
And so we can't reverse what you've done when you do genetics, you know, or, you know, but, you know, going around or meeting with people, it's not just about saying no. It's actually about untrusting the plan and getting your own self into place. You know, a lot of people don't realize how nefarious this is and what it could be doing. You have lots of people that don't know what they're doing. There's an example of frontline nursing taking people freshly vaccinated and all touching them and then going out to super spread out into the communities. Okay. Yeah. So it's people really don't have a clue of what they're doing. They are the actual spreaders themselves now. And the mutation that was coming off, I'll just give you an idea of what was so bad here. When people called me, and I can do this because it's public information, these direct energy particle beams and direct energy weapons were coming up through the ground. They were coming out through the mountains, okay? They came in through people's houses. Particle beam, like an accelerator, like a CERN generator, just blew through their house. It shook the house, and all these people were shaking. It's not just a little earthquake. There were thermal images that we could see. This is, by the way, late fall, winter, okay? We don't have a whole bunch of like fires up here.
Right.
Okay, so you can actually see transit lines being taken out. Then you can see, if I was trying to line up the dumb map, you know, when I got Patty Broussard, myself, and Jean Decode together, or with Judge Alfred Webre, you know, then there's so many bases, you don't even know.
Yeah, the dumbs.
Ours, theirs, other groups have got them. Like you said, every group's got their own stuff here. I started burning. Then I started getting pictures. They were sending me pictures of the dogs bleeding, turning red, faces falling out, just rotting off, like burnt. And then we went into some of that, and we had pictures of actually cracks where, like, literally rocks split in the middle with a particle beam in it.
Damn. Any vitrified glass or anything around there?
You can't. Yeah, you can't make up this stuff, right? And oh yeah, just so you have, what is a analog? There's your smart meter. Smart meter is anything that flashes at you, chip or not chip. There's your radiation cover when we've done stuff. Look it up.
It looks clean and it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's not too bad. Again, potassium iodide. You know, like I said, this is, if people don't see it, they just won't do it. But they were playing with the weather. Okay. Then we had an ET. Then we didn't.
What?
Ship showed up. Ship left.
Whoa.
Okay. They come in and check things. You know, there's an idea. That's the kind of burns, radiation burns on some of the people. Some people just came overnight with psoriasis, eczema. You don't know. Everyone's conditions were different, right? And then we actually literally had shaking going on. So she called me and the whole place was rattling. And you can look up, you know, Penticton shake. So I know the difference of what's at 20 miles down, 200 miles down. I know the difference between radon. I know the difference between the mind shakes or something that surfaced. So, I mean, this was sprayed on these people one night, and they all called me that they were bleeding. And again, it affects different things. Different things were coming through portals. We don't even know what it was. Well, we have an idea. But anyway, and animals don't always die. Some do. The weakest drop. But if you look at Chernobyl, 50% lived through it because they were all basically vegetarians doing raw foods.
You know, this is something that's very interesting, is the thing that take out humans but not animals. And it's like, well, you zoom out a little bit. They're going to be bombarded by the same EMF radiation, but not to the level that we are because of how we interface with these devices constantly, and they just don't want anything to do with them. And then also, you know, yes, they're being sprayed on from the planes and the chemtrails and everything like that, and their water supplies aren't that great, but they're a little bit further removed from it. But I would also say that, you know, the psychology of wildlife as well, even though they're in a, you know, one would say, oh, that's a stressful situation. You got to find where you're going to eat and sleep every day, and you got to survive, right? Not be dinner for something else. But really, it's, you know, we have an incredibly stressful existence here, and it's with all of the things that are being bombarding us, not only the physical things that you're talking about here, but also just psychologically, the news, you know, for God's sakes, people turn that shit off.
Exactly. Quit following mainstream.
Right. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy. So I definitely I would like for you, if you don't mind, let's continue on about the direct energy weapons and the dumbs and the flooding and the wars and all of that stuff. So talk to us about that.
Okay. So then people started calling me and saying, oh my gosh, like my burning, my blistering, you know, I've looked after vets, by the way, that were at Standing Rock. So, I mean, they have it, but I started getting symptoms up here and turning red. I'm going, I'm only 2 hours away. Yeah. I'm at ground zero. Close enough. Yeah. I got to get out of here. So that started happening. And literally I picked up my monitor and I said, wow, because it was like 0.04 and that was 0.8, then 0.12. And then it went 0.35. I went, whoa, this is like, you know, alert time kind of Chernobyl stuff. And then my monitor started going off. And so I went to go get my blood tested. And that day I went to go get the live blood cell test for me. They couldn't read it properly because it was waving too much. And I went, oh my gosh, we got exploded here. And so anyway, you know, I was looking at that because, you know, trying to see, are you getting crystals? Are you getting jumped? Like, what's going on?
So when you say crystals and jumped, what do you mean by that?
I'm talking you can get contact vaccinosis, like graphene jumping too. Or am I getting, when you get radiation, you can see it a lot with what's called an acanthocyte. And those acanthocytes will look like a bottleneck, which is what people are calling corona. But anyway, so we wanted to see what it was. And then I started getting calls from all over the place. So then I was talking to Judge Alfred Webre, and he says, can you get a hold of Sergeant Patty Broussard from the States? And I said, yep, I'll do it. So we did, and we started getting like air quality control. What's going on? See, we can actually find out even what's happening in your little neck of the woods.
Yeah. Looks pretty clean up where I'm at. Thank you.
There you go. Enter out of that air now, guys. But we were putting it together with different things that was going on and what the air quality was. But a lot of times what they did since Fukushima, they cut off all our accessory to information. So when I want something, we went to what's called the gross gamma counts. So these, a lot of times, if I want something, what the hell's going in Saskatchewan or British Columbia, I got to go down to Washington or to Montana because they won't allow us. And you got to know where the different monitoring devices are.
You know, why do you think you have access to all this information? Because if people want it hidden, they can hide it. Do you think that it's a revelation of method thing that they have to put it out and make it very hard to find because they have to, that idea of karma and that they have to tell you what's going on?
Not necessarily. I mean, they've had stuff where we've been watching and listening and they just took it off the air. Gotcha. Like they've actually, as Patty said, she was watching some stuff on the Cassini and doing some stuff up there on Saturn and with the military and stuff. And they went and crashed the whole thing. Like they just don't want it. They'll trash something just so that you don't get information. So it's not about they're going to let you know. Most of it is not there. So even when these people were in there, when this blew up, you got to remember this is like day 1 or 2. And I said, get out of there. No. Well, they want to try aloe vera. So that was actually one of the things I learned. That was one of the best things was drinking aloe vera for people or putting it on dogs and stuff. And so what was starting to happen is they started going blind, and the iridology, like their eyes, these people were going blind and we got our sight back. The dehydration, the skin breakdown was phenomenal, and then we saw rectangular mutation in bloods. So this is similar to the injections. So if they start injecting you with this kind of stuff and you mutate, we've got nothing to work with. Yeah. It's like a recipe. It's like Humpty Dumpty. So it's not just about what we're seeing in the mutations and the microclotting. Go down and get yourself done or let one of our therapists, or better yet, get your own done. So in here, that was happening over some of these sites. Okay. And so you can get your monitors, you can look it up. And then Patty set up a site even on Facebook. I think it was Radiation Graphic Room we had at one point, and that's what we did. We taught people. When CERN blew, though, it went into the millions, by the way, and billions.
So when
they did their Goddard Tower.
When you say blow, do you mean destroyed or just set off? Like whenever they ran the experiment?
It could be both. The ring actually blew the containment field. We actually, like in that case, they blew a hole through. You cannot have like a pipeline where they think they're going to take this oil and run it under our water systems here, and they think that's always going to be intact. No, these are still man-made, and they break down just like an exhaust pipe. Your muffler's going to blow out at some point. It's going to rust out.
So it just got old? And they just didn't repair it properly?
Well, some of that had to do with what they were running there. The bottom line is that they're all unlawful. They violate the international treaty. So I don't care about the legalese of that. It's more about what else we can do. So in here, I'm just going to show you too. These were some of the different time periods and dispositions. That's where they put in your fake religions. Christianity being one. Okay. Those were the original, some of the agreements with the previous Draco queens, clan mothers. Okay. And there's the clan mothers. They keep 2 clan mothers between this clan mother and that clan mother.
And is this representing like the 2 old, like the Tataria and all of that? And so these like original 2 bloodline lineages are kind of what this is all about. And then there's splinter versions of that and everything's kind of trickled down. And so you being from that area, you're Tatarian as hell, right?
Well, maybe it's heavenly. Anyway, there are also, like I said, stardust. Some of the stuff was put in. So when this, when these stars here, and we'll do this agreement till this there. So who's ever left of the bloodline that they haven't eradicated still has a seat at the table.
This is what's
like it or not, it was me.
and this is another thing that's very interesting to me, because I'm under the impression that you have sovereignty over your body, that it is your right to choose, it is your right to exist, and nothing can harm you unless you invite it in.
Well,
Whenever you talk about bloodlines and stuff, it makes it sound like, what we would refer to as sort of like a soul contract or something. Basically, something you agreed to on a level that you're not privy to now, that's for your highest good. It kind of like tricking a dog into eating a pill in a treat, right? Where you put it inside the treat and then you give it to him. Well, the dog thinks, oh yeah, that's a treat. This is wonderful, but there's shit in it. And, of course you do this to help your dog, hopefully.
Yeah. I used to do the same thing as the analogy. It's like, is there something great for you? It's like ivermectin. I said, how about if I use the analogy of a vodka paralyzer? So I don't drink anymore. Anyway,
I don't either.
Here's your orange juice, but there's your vodka.
Right.
If I was muscle testing and people do pendulums and all sorts of crap, right? I like actually stopping other people's pendulums. It's fun. But anyway, it's energetic. And so if they ask the right question, is there something in here that can hurt me? Or is it this completely, therapeutic? Well, they're going to get a different answer. Is this okay for me? Well, yeah, there's something okay for you in here. See, it's even how you ask the questions, right?
Yep.
And so it's the same thing. Yeah, well, there might be some stuff with the ivermectin, but any prescription has got an RX symbol, which is to block the third eye. Just look at the cosmic origins of what's on the front of, Ishmael's book, the Eye of Horus, right? It takes it out. It causes third eye damage. It's sorcery. So like I said, these things are overdumbs. We've gone past them. They're throwing them up. I just saw some more coming up in Calgary. They just put up. I'm like, now what kind of configuration is that? Again, you need how to protect yourself. You can't sit there and put a bunch of crystals and think orgonite and shungite's going to do it, because it's not. And when we think this isn't fear porn, this is what's happening. This is truth. You got to be able to do something like this. Well, they're going to do this. Guess what? At least I can get somewhat of a Band-Aid. But at some point, I'm not going to be in the gerbil wheel where they're experimenting with everyone.
Right.
And this isn't just writing it off as, oh, this is ascension symptoms. No, it's not. We've been dealing with that kind of recovery for so long, and what's so bad about getting an enema bag or going to a colon hydrotherapist? It's water. Water actually dissolves and fries out your nanotech. If you want to try an experiment, I dare you, put some water on your computer and see what you do to the motherboard.
Yeah.
Okay. This will fry out a lot of the nanotech. If I add some salt into it or a little bit of baking soda in an enema or a klima bag, which is nothing, water is inexpensive to use. It's not a problem. But, we go around, like people like David Wolf or Danae. This is at the Light Cellar in Calgary. These are the people talking about the foraging. These are the, going out and doing the mushrooms and doing the spruce and making your concoctions and making your herbal teas and going out and getting the conchs and the shaga. We teach all that. But at some point, you've got to take responsibility and be self-sustainable.
Yeah. And
go out there and have some fun. And like I said, it's not that difficult to go out to findaspring.com, enjoy it, get in nature. I do that like every couple of weeks, but one of the things I found is that when I went to a lot of the lakes out here, those towers are there and you're on an open beam line, just like out in the prairies. I was out on an open beam site and I didn't want that happening. So like I said, a lot of the stuff people can take responsibility for and have fun, or we teach how to do raw foods. Bless Malcolm and the guys at the Light Cellar, but we can actually make raw foods and superfoods and put your essential oils in it and put your shaga in it. All those cheesecakes, all these chocolates and stuff, you guys, are all made with superfoods.
Damn.
You should see what we can teach here. Anyways, it's chocolates, it's cheesecakes made from cashews and stuff, ferments, how to do things naturally, but, I think with some class, in there.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
I don't expect everyone, to go out there and I go around and I'm outside and I've got the monitors all with me on the truck. So, but you know what? I don't need the monitors because I can feel it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, well, why haven't you got it on right now in the glasses? Because right now I want to feel it. And when I'm in there, but people don't realize, like when your monitors go off, I was at, these rallies. That's why I don't go to rallies. You don't see me out very often because I know what's happening at the rallies. You can be at a function or at a, uninformed consent, and I can just start twitching and feel that. And then I just grabbed my monitors and went, uh-oh, we're in trouble, guys. because you can't see that. And you know what I find is most people are so brain down and dumbed down and acidic, they don't feel anything.
Yeah, they're just so used to it.
It's not
like slow over
they
time.
can't feel it.
Yeah.
There's no feeling to them. Their spidey senses are actually gone. And when you see this kind of thing, it's so sad because, what are you going to do when this comes into the house? There's another one. It comes in at different levels. You don't know, is it going to be 5G? Is it going to be 6G? What is the triggering that they're sending off that day?
And this just propagates out over everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I got into stuff too. I did some stuff with Jessica Morocco. People think this is actually kind of like a joke, but there's your umbrella corporation like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Okay. But guess what? These things actually exist out there, guys. Go to acio.org. Guess what I spotted? So, people can laugh it off and poo-poo it, but, until you've actually seen it or experienced it, or better yet, I'd had to recover people from these injuries. And as long as they haven't been injected or PCR tested, or these days with a blood transfusion, we just had a huge case up here where we had, and it's public, Luke and Sammy, they were down there, and a little boy, they needed some plasma, and they had 200 donors ready to go, including the mom, and they wouldn't do it. And so, trying to get stuff into here. So, these are old agreements and quantum stuff that go back a long way, and this is what it is. If you look at the States, what's all over on your government stuff there, Eagle Clan, Eagle stuff.
Yep.
So when you go back into that, you start realizing kind of what kind of fun stuff it can be. But, it's all about getting together with the right people, having fun, and putting things back into perspective,
Absolutely.
I think that's amazing. And it's who you choose to, have in your community or have as resources. So it's not just me. These are some of the leading experts, in their fields in here. And, the time travel thing is just a whole different excitement thing. But I have wild stuff. I can show you pictures the guys gave me before BAMF at 4.4 when they hit that base. It's called Q552.
What?
Whose ship was that?
God, that's cool.
Isn't it? So, they send me things, go just to let you know, we're having some things done, and yeah, you can line that directly up, and then you can line it up with the base, and you can actually check what's going on.
I'd love how you cross-reference all that. The heat signatures with the known deep underground bases, and especially where the picture was taken, and you triangulate everything and put it together. It's brilliant. Yep. It's just like the overlaid map of the 411 in the National Forest.
You got to get there and get it out and have fun. This is, we are the new, I would say, media replacement.
Yeah.
We're journalists, it's all about the truth movement and getting it out here. And, I deal with therapists all over the place. They'll call me themselves because we were all experiencing the same thing. All of a sudden I said, quit doing Reiki, quit doing massage. And in our clinic, we said, no one PCR tested. And there's nothing wrong with asking that because it is a public biowarfare agent.
Yeah.
And there's a picture. There's my Yoni chair. You see how I've got a little chair. It's got a hole in it. You put a hot plate with your herbs underneath. So I want you to go to steamychick.com. I'm a graduate from there. I'm a steam chick. The other one is called Red Tent Wellness. Higher tech stuff. This is more like with Tony Pantalleresco, like what we're trying to do with the nanotech, like making these triangles, but they're done on sound and magnetics, trying to fry out the nanotech. Okay, we're doing a lot of innovative stuff here that, people haven't thought about. Like I said, there's my Genius Insight, using some other stuff.
That's awesome.
So we've got high tech to low tech because you got to have things available for people, but you never know when it's going to happen. That was the day I got spiked. Those are the people that spiked me. Okay.
Yeah.
Once they take blood out, you don't know. And I took all the right precautions. I couldn't have taken any more precautions than I did. And I still got affected. So
now,
like I said, they're not just coming for you. It's to terraform a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
When you
start
donate
seeing what they're doing, our cedar woods up here.
Yeah. When you donate blood, can anything they do to it affect your physical body after you've given it to them? Kind of like quantum entanglement, right? Or the scalar energy, or everything's connected. So if you give a piece of yourself, then they can alter that genetically in some way, and it affects you in your physical
I took all
body.
my blood back. I didn't allow them to have anything, and that was part of the deal. Okay, so we took out 5 vials of blood. We spun down 4. I kept 1 for DNA for any kind of mutation accidents. And which I was asked to by the forces. They said, make sure that you have any, like a clean sample of blood with what's all coming up. They didn't want,
put that in your bug out bag. Okay, so I definitely want to get, yeah, absolutely. So I definitely want to get to what's going on with the DUMS, and then a little bit of secret space program and time travel. I mean, we're kind of coming up to where we usually cut it here, but I've still got so many more things that I want to talk to you about. No, and you'll definitely be invited back on. So
thanks.
Please.
I can't tell you what's happened in the DUMS because I'm not there. Okay, so I have hearsay, like you have hearsay. So let's make this very clear. I'm not in the DUMS myself at this point. I've been apparently seen them, but I don't have an actual great recollection. I have lots of weird fragmented memories on and off the planet myself. I'm a contactee. I was missing 2 hours again. I've dealt with different races as well. A lot of my friends are in the secret space program and they're hybridized or captains or commanders from other planets. Yeah. So that's my experience. And I mean, some of that's actually on Project Ascension because they were on there with us. The real secret space people are not going to be seen out. So the people out pushing the books and a lot of this stuff, heavy duty, they wouldn't allow it. Is that soft disclosure? Fine, but it's controlled disclosure as well.
Like Corey Good.
Misinformation and stuff too. Okay, so I can't really tell you what's going in there. I can tell you right now it's all hazy in here. I also know when I've gone down there, I can feel the radiation. I can put the monitors off and tell you what's, kind of going on. I know where those bases are, some of them. But like I said, there's so many different Orion bases or Mater bases or those 3 different levels at Project Ascension. We show you the 3 different types. See, they just show you the surface stuff. But the illegal gates and stuff like that and old stuff that goes way beyond the Ashiana Dean stuff, Patty Broussard showed. And a lot of those did get pulled off because they didn't want us obviously doing that. But those we don't really know too much. So that's my kind of experience, I guess, with the DUMS, and I was over, I went with a guy, what turned out I think he's a clone, but he's known as Rage in the Cage out of Edmonton, Alberta area up here. And he took me, she shouldn't have taken me, but they took me over Genesee, which is just outside of that area. And it's supposedly a coal mine. I went, no, there's 2-3 dams there. I felt things, he goes, it feels really weird and they're EMF sensitive and stuff like that. But, these guys are soldiers that have maybe been killed, jacked up, got 50,000 implants on them. So, and again, they give you disinformation as well.
Yeah.
And they got fragmented memories and they have actually false memories.
What about the energy weapons?
Watch what I watched with them, huh?
Yeah. What about the energy weapons and then flooding and all of that? That's what I was asking about.
That dumb? Okay, so what happened last year in October in dealing with Andrea, we got her finally out of there. We went to Dawson Creek. But what happened a lot of times is they will flood a dam. So I have actually seen, so your flood supposedly in the lower half of British Columbia or Three Gorges Dam or whatever, those floods they will sometimes use to cool off because they're using a sort of nuclear, material. And it's apparently the Positive Alliance that is detonating these dams. And they've just decided, it's kind of like Atlantis all happening again. Better to let it go now and deal with what we got to deal with because they can't have them running. And I don't know. Patty Broussard's got a different take on it. What she says is there's 6 exoplanets. We got actually about close to 400 out there now that we can see outside the solar system, okay, with their other cameras. And they've been there for 3 years on and off. But we've got exoplanets, and she still maintains that there's going to be 6. And if you want to talk about frequencies, dimensions, well, they might have another planet that's in a different dimension. Yes. So Trump is maybe taking a bunch of people here, which would really explain why they thought some of the injections were okay, or they led people to do it. They told me that his stuff was going to be, it was done by ETs and labs. And I don't agree with this falsification or narrative that they do down there or up here. And so he gets one, Muslims get one, the jinn get one as well.
The planets, exoplanets in another dimension. Possibly, yeah.
Yep. And that's one of the things, whether you want to call it the ascension, the solar flash, whatever they're doing frequency. I've seen them do a lot of really wild stuff. Like when they took satellites and they rekeyed certain things. And for example, they did one, which is documented at Project Ascension on the Eiffel Tower. And they shot whatever their beam weapons. It short circuited that and rekeyed the Eiffel Tower, the arrays. So it's no different than HARP. They rekey arrays all over the obelisks. and different transmitters. And that thing glowed for like 4 or 5 hours with whatever heat sinking thing they hit to it. And it was the next day that you had the Gilets jaunes, which I guess in English you call it yellow vest movement, came out and trying to throw actually the French government out. Because it's shattering different things. It's keeping people, it's opening up another parameter of it's like having mercury fillings. They took out another mercury tower, you know?
Yeah.
Which is another reason, another thing people should have mercury filling. And that's why I talk about things like black activated charcoal, zeolite or bentonite clay, but absolutely, like Tony says, no carbon C60, no zeolite liquid, no nanozeolites, no nanosilvers at 20,000 parts per million. If you're going to do colloidals, keep them between 10 to 100 parts per million. Because, and I get it, if you have these kind of frequencies coming in, like I'm just showing you, you can't see it.
No.
You can barely feel it. And if you're dumbed down, you're not going to feel anything. They're just hitting a laser to us and tasering us, and we don't even know. And we're, happily, some people go like lemmings to this.
Yeah.
So
I've heard about these satellites too, and that you can feel, if you put your hand on the back of your head, supposedly you can feel the pulse, because everybody is tracked by their own satellite up there somewhere. And every single person, no matter where you go, is tracked by this. I didn't verify it, but
I've got different ones. I can hear that, like right now, this one's going off. Later it will be that, maybe both, whatever. Many of us, I think, have multiple implants. I mean, that's well documented. There's so much nanotech. And I mean, you could go to MASH, and I did a lot of stuff, we just did a huge thing with Judge Alfred Webre with the nanotech, and Ole Damagard and Magnus, all those guys have been involved with. But, I think this is where I like having the kind of technology that I do, like to use the Genius biofeedback, because we can go in and look at your aura, like take your voice imprint, look at your aura. Is it shattered or is it intact? Do you need this herb or that oil? It will actually give us some direction as to what's going on with people, and we run, just like they run direct energy weapons, I run a frequency semantic wave through you.
So cool.
When I do biofeedback, I bet you 99% of the people feel it. They feel it vibing, they feel peace, but they feel that wave, that their energy is coming back, because you're starting to vibrate more and more. Like I said, it's not about playing like 432 or 528, or I'm going to play some drums. I'm playing with thousands of frequencies outside your hearing range. And it's cool because when I do it, I've had actually a whole family of deer come up.
Oh, that's cool. I love that kind of stuff.
Just for the 3-4 hours I played it, the exact 3 hours, all of them came here. So I had Bambi all sitting out, One day, I did one where we gave the water that we'd put on the plate to a cat. It threw up a 6-inch tapeworm.
Holy shit.
And I did one on Nicholas Vanneman's show and Charlie Ward's. And one of them, I had like 120 letters actually in 4 hours before they took it down. And one of the letters said that this woman had 4 cats come up to the TV screen and they all vomited. Like they all detox. I went, you can't make up that kind of stuff, right?
No, but you do need a warning. Let folks know, hey, if your cat's in a room, it's going to be kind of like SeaWorld here. Like you're going to get wet, puked on. But it's going to be good for them. So maybe just put them in a kennel or something with something that's easy to clean up. Now, let me ask you, with all of this stuff, I mean, it's just so damn much. And then you talk cabal, secret societies, you talk about secret space programs, time travel, which I love all of this, by the way.
Yep.
Being bombarded by frequencies constantly. Our food is shit, our water is shit. The air is being sprayed constantly. Don't these, let me ask it this way. It seems to be that all of these things are going to affect every creature here. Don't these entities, whoever's doing this, do they feel like the planet's going away anyway, so they're just going to do whatever the hell they want? Or do they not realize that they're damaging themselves as well? Or have they figured that out and there's a technology available to them that they just aren't affected negatively by this?
I can't speak for them because I don't have their intelligence or artificial intelligence. I can't speak as to why, but I'll tell you in my experience, some of the things I've found in my research, and what I've noticed is that some of the stuff like Gaia actually made, and Tara, whatever, they made actually an agreement with the clan mothers and they were to raise the tribes were to raise the clans here. Like we were the children, and the tribes were kind of like the groundskeepers, like old and new souls, whatever you want to call it. And some of those treaties are done with. And so I was told they're not going to actually raise humans here anymore, period. And prior to that, with the Draco Reptilian Mater, Tall Whites, Nordics, whatever, they're not always affected like Greys. Like, I mean, we could go take a chemotherapy and you'll see people bloat their crown chakra, right? Because they're losing all their hair. But give it to someone else with like a hybrid, it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
It's like RH positive and RH negative, iron versus copper based. I mean, it's totally different how we assimilate things. And I mean, that is demugging. We don't have to eat for your blood type. I mean, we just found that, if you want to be a solarian, raw foods are better, into the fruitarian and clean stuff and greens. But having said that, and not dead stuff, that's how you fix it when you reverse it.
It's kind of like an analogy too. Like we're allergic to radiation in the way that they are not. We're allergic to the graphene and nanotech in a way that they're not. So that's really interesting.
No, there's some stuff we documented with some of the Solosians and stuff that were captured in Pine Gap for a couple of years. And Andreas was a friend of mine from Liran, and or his clone, whatever he was. He was one of the supposedly abductees captured down there. And they tortured these people, these ETs. I mean, the Cabal military are psychopaths and AI and shapeshifters. So when you know about shapeshifting, I mean, they're not human anyway. And if you get some of these that are nanotech, you're talking about cybernetics now. You're talking about what they're trying to do to the humans, for transhumanization. And then on top of that, I mean, if that doesn't get better, you've got all sorts of things that just don't belong here. You've got interdimensionals and arcanics.
Yeah.
And when you train some of these soldiers, I mean, that was part of the thing that Patty said, is that they wanted to, with that and different groups like Tanath and the Silver Legion and the Andromeda Council, that was part of getting humans basically kind of somewhat savable so that they could use them for military purposes to go out there and take the Dracos and the reptilians out on the rest of the planets. But this is a jewel. But this is a library, a seed library. And there's a girlfriend of mine, you could look up Cynthia Maria Brewer, and you'll find out where did the actual DNA start, and the gene banking and the adrenochrome and the gene banks. You're going to find out in this Chimera project, and she was Dolly the sheep. So when you actually find out this stuff, whether it's just the radiation part or the food, they were terraforming it for themselves. That's why I said, if I got a new planet, it's kind of when you have 50% oxygen and you're down to, under 20 some, or, look at what they've done to the clear cutting. I mean, hard to see, but they've clear cut stuff. You can't repair that. I just showed you what they did to all that. You can't repair that. Done. And it's like Avatar. When you cut the neural path, you've cut it. You're going to destroy in there. So part of the DUMBs, when they were flooding them, and with salt water down the States, not far from you, it's where they started about 3-4 years ago. And what was really cool is to see some of the life dew coming back, though, because we're these it's like gophers up there. I don't know if you got gophers down there. But
we do in moles. Yeah, we have moles, yeah.
Okay, same idea. You know how you go down the hole, right? So they like to flood them out. So what was happening is that I laughed. I said, why don't you give it an enema? And they laughed at me. And then they weren't laughing. I said, give it an enema. It's like leaky gut.
Yeah.
That's how I could explain CERN or how it can function. I said, I get inner enemas, give it an outer enema. So they did. And what they did is they started flooding it. And where they flooded it, you fried the nanotech, but especially salt water. But what happened is in some of the things, it re-energized the saltwater, the ley lines. And so in apparently California, like Death Valley and different areas like that, they're actually having vegetation come back to life.
Wow.
So there is some regeneration. We're starting to see some of the regeneration too up here, like I know with some of the Okanagan and West Bank and Sinaiacs, they're talking about some of the salmon runs are coming back. And I actually we saw people here, we've had praying mantises coming up here. Oh, and then cool. I saw, when I was a little girl, we used to have these like really black and then orange, fuzzy little striped cocoon caterpillars. Oh, cool. I haven't seen one since I was probably a teenager. And I just saw one and I said, "What? I just saw one." They said, "We saw one too." So I was up in the northern shuswaps the other day. And now I've got 2 reports in 2 different towns, praying mantises, 6-7 inches just flew in. Like,
damn.
I don't know what they're doing with the genetic genome, but
Well, have you seen also I saw a video on it. You can't verify this shit, but I remember hearing about genetically modified mosquitoes that they were setting free, and they did all of this stuff. And somebody caught what they said was a mosquito the other day and pulled its wings back, and it had a number on it. Like It's either genetically engineered or not genetic at all, and something very robotic and nanotech.
They're tagged. What they were doing was they were putting in these chips, okay? And actually, Patty and I talked about that 2016 because she phoned me up one day and she goes, or he did. He said, you're not going to like this. And I said, now what? Like last time it was CERN blew up. Last time it's the shields aren't holding on the planet. What's today's little version that you're going to update me with for the briefing? And they go, well, there's this set of transmitters that are down in like New Zealand, Australia. And I said, what? They go, they named it after you. I said, what? There's the chips, and it's called the Karen Rians instead of Karen Rians. I went, oh, real fun. So they will do things like that. And then they let them out, just like the COVID had the towers and, things are transmitting. You got to remember, as these people they use biofeedback on you.
Yeah.
They have entire prayers of St. John the Baptist and the divine that are satanic Gregorian stuff that they're putting out, like, not just Mecca going around backwards. So there are thousands of people doing these kind of ritual witchcraft stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother subject. Witchcraft is the craft, So there's no such thing as black and white. Craft is crafty. You don't know your stuff yet. But in here, that was part of the problem. And so these transmitters and arrays are up there. And I mean, I've come across a few of them myself, and I've seen some. But that's actually maybe why I want to show you a little bit of the biofeedback and stuff too. But, people don't realize it's not just about herbs and oils and parasite purging and taking aromatherapy and pills and getting your yoni steam herbs and stuff. This is all available. The thing is, if you don't know it, and I always, especially for yoni steam, it's the same thing for men. We just call it a lingham steam. It's male, female. It doesn't matter. Children. I've steamed cats, by the way, dogs. In here is that if you go to steamychick.com, I challenge you, go to find a therapist or practitioner, and you'll see how many spas and clinics are using this, like steam reflexology, steam acupuncture. It's what we know and you don't. And this is an old Russian Ayurvedic technique. Nothing new. I was just talking to Swami Nardadan the other day. So we're just bringing back what's going to actually be helpful for you against this technology, because this salt water contains minerals and electrolytes and lights you up.
Yeah.
So it creates an inner mesh for you in the interstitium and stuff. So, and like I said, if you don't know what alkaline food is, go figure it out. Go look these things up. It's not difficult. There's Canada's food guide in this is, standard American. They teach you this crap. Well, now we got to teach you this. It's just a flip.
Where's poutine on the list of that?
Potatoes and gravy. Down here.
Okay.
Anyway, there's a way to do it. We could make a raw food poutine, by the way. I could do that.
Oh,
it's
sure.
like Karen Brotman and Marcus Rothkranz at the Healthy Food. But yeah, we have ways of doing it, by the way.
Awesome.
We could make it actually. It's not always about the acidity, but the alkalinity, but the help. But if I can, I'll show you this.
Please, yes, absolutely. And I mean, already I'm going to have to, we're going to have to book at least 3 more of these, just because there are so many things that you cover. There are so many things that I want to ask you that we didn't get to, but yeah, please, show us the biofeedback.
Okay. If you've got a phone, if you've got an iPad or an iTablet, it interfaces. It's not for computers, really. Okay. So you need one. As long as you got, minimum 32. This is an old iPad era, but we have many. You can get a RIFE one, like I said, an Odyssey. There's many things, intentions, information. So they're just apps because we don't want Health Canada to stop us or down there, the FDA. Yeah. Okay, so there's the app. It's called a Genus Insight. You open it up, and I'm just going to back out of here. So you get a free trial for 2 weeks. So take it, or just say, hey, I'd like a demo, in there. So what happens is that you're going to come in here, and I'm just going to clear this out. It's how you keep your children intact. You can do distance healing. So distance remote, distance RIFE, distance scalar.
Yeah.
So please don't go out and start spending 30, 40,000. I mean, a lot of this stuff, these already contained it in there. In here, let's say I wanted to go and find a client or make a new one in here, which I could. So let's say with you, we'll use you as an example.
Bring it.
That's open.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get another session. Okay, so in here, you can see it's got a microphone. I'm just going to have you say the vowels, A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U, and you could say your name or a goal or whatever you want, or sing the alphabet. I don't care.
Okay.
So we just want 15 seconds, and you're going to see the voice spectral analysis. This is MIT, and basically, once we get your voice pattern, we're going to send whatever's in the data bank. So I might have 70 things. I might send lavender back and forth, water back and forth. Are you hydrated back and forth? Do you have enough copper back and forth? You know, do you have salmonella back and forth? You know, whatever. Okay. So that's the idea. It's like muscle testing. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, I'm recording.
All right. A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y. A-B-C-D-E-F-G H-I-J-K L-M-N-O-P. Is that good? Is that 15 seconds? Maybe no, not even 4. This is awesome. All this stuff is going to be linked down below, so you guys definitely check it out. Boom, we're at our 15. Oh, yes.
There you go. So that's not hard. So if someone's intubated, you just hit the button that says skip.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am one of those people that people call on the, 11th hour to midnight kind of thing, or 1 minute to midnight, or DEFCON 2. I don't know. It's like, hi, they want to intubate and harvest our people tomorrow morning. And I'm like, you had to wait till now. And I have done it. Okay. So it doesn't matter, cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, psoriasis. There isn't anything we don't have in here. Okay. With that. So in this case, we got your voice imprint. You can see it has a splatter pattern. It has frequencies, all sorts of things. Only you. Your voice is as unique as your iridology, as unique as basically a fingerprint. Okay. Wow. So when we go into DUMS and stuff, and we're going to be doing stuff for we're going to make me enclaves for the clan mother and our clans, the secret space military.
Yeah.
And the Alliance was going to do that when we had time. It was all biometric. So that included everything. Okay. So then you hit the photo and it will say, take a picture. So I'm just going to grab it off here. You and not me. Look at that. It's like the thinking man.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
See? Okay.
I think there's a Mandela effect, by the way. Was it on his head or on his chin? Do you remember that statue? On his chin?
I remember it like this.
Okay, that's fair. I was just asking. Go ahead.
Anyway. Yeah, Mandela is another thing, like timeline stuff. I know people that time jump. Okay, so I could have lots of fun with that. Anyway, so this again is looking at the aura. So it's like looking at infrared. It's looking at different spectrums. And you on a trial will have everything except this. Okay. My libraries. You have a physical, mental, and emotional biofield coming in there. And so you hit one button. People are so anal these days. We're going to now start the analysis. Get you out of this anal state. So it's one button. You don't need a medical doctor. You don't need a degree. You don't need university to hit the button. And that's it.
Wow.
The analysis is going at almost twice the speed of light.
See, this is so cool. The whole way that this looks, it interfaces, the package, the way that you go about this, everything about it, aesthetically, all of it.
Okay, so there you just touch it, touch the screen. It's all virtual screen stuff. Just like you see in, the corticoid kind of stuff.
Yeah,
similar.
Yeah.
It's not the be all and the end all. Okay. You still need to follow up with doing baking soda. You still need to do this, but I can energize water. I can put headphones over the water or put it on top of here and vibrate it semantically. When you're not just dealing with like 9 subfidial notes or 1, you're dealing with thousands. Okay. So there's a really cool aura. Okay?
That's my aura.
That's the aura in this moment. So there's a little bit of red. There's some inflammation of physical things going along in these higher chakras up in here.
Okay.
Or in the 5th chakra. But you can see there's a lot of really nice indigo in here.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So what's your assessment of that besides the inflammation, which I get it. I've been doing a lot of like working out and stuff like that.
Well, you are grounded. I can tell that. You have a connection to the earth because I see that torus field or the little egg thing going around. There is some stuff, like I said, it's not just inflammation, it goes to the root chakra. So I start looking at actually, if you know iridology, same thing as in the colon, or if you look at live blood cell, we have templates. It's like a stack. And so as I'm kind of looking down at you from the satellite this way. So as you move forward, there's a physical issue going on in here. Okay. Huh. And it could be actually right through, let's say, the conception vessel and kidney and stomach. And so I'm going to go through it. I'm going to investigate a little bit more.
Okay.
A little bit of guts, but not bad. And I want to see how far it does, but it actually covers from here to here. So I'm going, okay. So you can take a picture of that. But in this case, let's say I want to play, is there some emotional stuff going out? You're having a lot of happiness, which is great. A lot of people aren't these days.
I don't watch the news. It makes me super
gratitude
happy.
And lots of gratitude, but you're seeing a lot of hysterical stuff out there. You're seeing stuff that like, it's just pitiful and there's contempt. Mm-hmm. Okay. We don't have to tolerate it either. So then I might go, well, what kind of emotion, you need some aspen and maybe some different, what we call Bach flower remedies.
Okay.
Okay, so there's the Bach flower, aspen, clematis, and a few other things. So right now I have a day of atonement. Whatever you need, the problem or the solution is going to go in. I'm going to drop and drag it in here. Okay, and then each one of these things, there's going to be a note or a frequency or a hertz, energetic medicine for each one of these. So instead of making a salad, it's going to be your day of attunement.
Atonement. Perfect. And that because each remedy that then is monitored by the results of this scan will then have a frequency associated with it. So they're like, hey, add this to the frequency bath, right?
Right. So there you're going to go. This is a sound bath in the most awesome sense, cosmically. So there's, I can just say, okay, here's some marjoram, here's some juniper, here's some whatever herbs or oils.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to get used to what are the herbs. The only thing you care about is what you want to get fixed with. Okay. Most people don't care about 50,000 pieces of data I'm reading. Okay. They don't. They want to just know what the stress is today. And like the top things that we need to deal with is an adrenal burnout and an infection, or emotional stuff or whatever. But I want to get the adrenals or your third chakra kickstarted. So there's something there draining the energy.
Okay. I feel it. I thought it was Mercury retrograde. I just wrote it off to that, but that's fine.
No. So then there's a low sodium, maybe some sulfite, lithium, zinc. So you're seeing different things happening, not just with the contact vaccinosis or whatever's going on in the radiation. Remember, there's a depletion of different minerals. Some go too high, some go too low. Yes, I can look for things like UHF and 5G and stuff like that in radiation. So, I have all sorts of stuff in here we can play with, but I'm just going to show you what you get to play with. I love doing the spine. So the number one, there's an inflammation up at the top of the head, whether you want to call it pituitary, eyes, whatever. So I can scroll up and down you like a chiropractor and go, oh, T3, T5's out. And we give you charts and manuals to play with these. And in here as well, I have a entangled insight, which is your RIFE. So let's say people go, oh my gosh, I have diabetes or something, or I have a bacterial infection, or I've been around Lyme or whatever. You can just it will test for all these. So to me, instead of going for a culture or taking a blood sample or a stool sample, what the hell for? I can scan up and down for those.
This is some Star Trek shit. This is what the doctor did. He just scanned him with some instrument, didn't poke him or take some poo from him or anything, and then knew everything about him.
Now back to, not that it's analysis, but now it says quick balance. So let's say I just want it to do your spine and do an energetic chiropractic or spinal realignment. I could just go to any page. So I could have gone to just the minerals and done an electrolyte balancing. So if people think they have a chemistry imbalance, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
You could do that. Or I could just give me an aromatherapy session. Or I can combine a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So what I'm teaching is how to custom it. And that's the difference with the genius rather than just going, oh, I'm just going to get a pain program. Right. Well, anyone can just put a pain program on and put 3-4 frequencies. That's not rocket science. This is fun stuff. Because, you can do all this. And let's say by the time I'm done, and let's just say, for example, I want to look at an overview. This is where I was showing you the charts before. Well, it will just tell me I need this herb and that herb and that herb. So I could chart this out just for a client.
Yeah.
Just like, and remember, I'm not doing a diagnosis and I'm not treating you.
Right.
Gnosis is a different thing, giving you some knowledge.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm not doing that. Okay. So the difference between when you get people doing pendulums and throwing cards, they're involved. I'm not. This is you healing you.
Yeah.
And until you get your machine, you can do it or without a phone. So in here, it tells me everything you need. It tells me, oh, there's an allergy to coffee. There's an allergy to mites. There's whatever you want. So you can do your own reading. And we shouldn't be reading for other people. That's your radiation. I don't allow people to read me or want to facilitate things or things they want to do. The other thing, I don't know about you, but I like things like, learning about sacred geometry and a lot of stuff we were taught, like flowers of life, is not actually a true thing, and spirals. So it takes it to a different level. But I like traditional Chinese medicine. So it tells me which acupuncture meridians or vita-flex points are out. But like the lowest one with you is the large intestine. And maybe I've got a sore arm for a reason. Wow. Or maybe instead of hitting you with all those acupuncture needles, I could just go like this.
Wow. And then that will play frequencies that then fix or heal or repair the damage, whatever specific individual is occurring.
Yeah. And if you don't know, how much more user friendly, I don't expect you to know traditional Chinese medicine stuff that we've learned yet, But here it will tell you, okay, I've got lung number, meridian, whatever, lung 2. So then you can go look at what lung 2 is.
Oh, wow. And follow it to an acupuncture
Maybe you think
point.
you got carpal tunnel, but can you see how we're helping you literally connect the dots?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Literally on that. And I'm just going to put one because this is going to be one I'm going to do. I'm going to put the contact vaccinosis. I'm going to put the radiation. I'm going to put a whole bunch of my super duper fun things in here.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important because I could put as many as I want in here. So right now we make libraries and I made the remedies. So you can either buy them, make them, or barter trade them.
Yeah.
But like number one for you, first thing for you, astragalus. So it tells me in order, astragalus. We're going to deal with some of the mind. There was must have been a hereditary at one point. Clematis, different things, chemical sensitivity. So it tells you in order what you actually require.
Wow.
Okay, so that's only specific to you.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to actually open up the tray and I'm going to add all those things that rather than dropping and dragging, I have a plus sign. So I can just actually put all your remedies in that tray. So this is your atonement or your attunement. That's going to be your sound therapy.
Now,
so this is biomodulated for you specifically and only for you. But I could make that water remedy and I could, put it on a capsule and actually you can send it to the my client as a capsule and you can listen to it for a week.
Oh,
so people can purchase capsules. And quite frankly, like everyone thinks this is not about doctors and nurses and stuff. No. I've got grandmothers in their 80s doing it for their grandchildren. 90% of these are for home use. This is not a medical device, you guys. It's not. It's for home use. It's for children. It's for pets.
Now, I'm just asking for clarity's sake here. If all of the frequencies are in there to balance out, heal, repair anything in the body, why not just send all of them and not go through the process of being specific to find out what you need most? Rather, just send them all. Like hit plus all of them. Give me all
because you don't need an offlet and you're still doing a reaction. It's still like muscle testing, or you're still at an energetic level receiving that.
Okay.
And there are some people that seriously, I might give a tomato to, and someone might have an allergy to it.
Right.
So we check for those sensitivities, right? So
perfect.
Some people are allergic to strawberries and other people are not.
Yeah.
You just, or lemon. So this is where the customization gets in.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You do want to have it a little bit rather than just blast everyone. And when you hit someone with 30, 40,000 frequencies, we tend to just do the testing every 72 hours, but I can do therapy every day. I can just pick up and do my spine, or I can run it all night. Like what I'll show you is that I made all these libraries. So I talked about, this is where the weird stuff comes in that I usually like to do, but I've got stuff if I'm looking for someone, like, as you can see in here. Okay. It's not something that you're going to see that your doctor's going to test you for.
Adrenochrome. Yeah. Aliens, ETs.
I'm just giving you an idea, but that's the kind of stuff. But in here, I'm going to add all the stuff that I made as a library for you. But, I made things specific. Do I need an anti-venom? You don't know where that fragment, and is it synthetic? Is it the real substance they gave you? Or did they send it to you through bad medicine, or what you call frequency? They do the same thing.
Jeez.
They've got transmitters that are just beaming things like voice to skull, V2K to you.
Yeah, the sky to skull stuff. I was talking about this the other day. Yes.
I can go look for that too. Okay. So it's kind of like muscle testing, but
right.
It's like two dolphins. We're sonarly, our third eyes are going back and forth on a different frequency outside of here. And so I'm going to put those remedies in because I think it's really, really important that people can come back. They can listen to it. Or, when I do clients, I'll record it on Skype or Zoom. But, most people, they change it every day. And once I get this going, I can put the timer from 1 minute to 30 minutes. Or what I like to do is put it to 0 and go to bed.
Oh, awesome. So it just keeps running. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can. There are little tips like that you learn, in there. But anyway, we're going to just actually do all the libraries. And I've got some from Dr. Policano, and I gift with some of the other people because some of them like to do for animals. Like, I've got for dogs, cats, horses in here, Lorraine, where we did. So one of the first things that comes up for you is, which you'll see a lot, is bio-oxy, starting in the small intestine, or oxy powder. Second thing down here you'll start seeing is Lyme and tick. Now, I actually took my Lyme and tick actually on my plate, and we have many plates. So this is the transmitter plate, And by the way, if you don't know anatomy, do you think I actually remember everything from medical school? But anyway, have a cheat sheet.
We know how to find the information. Yeah.
Oh, for crap. Yeah, I've got chiropractic. So we give you manuals, by the way. You can download for free on the first page.
See, how cool is that? Here,
I know. Okay. So these are soundboards. So this is where we put the water on, or you can put your crystals on, or you can put your central potentizers. Yeah.
Could you have your little kitty cat sit in the middle of that?
Like replicators.
Cat
okay. Yeah, you could. You can also sit on it yourself.
Yeah, that was the next question.
Okay. Or you get the what I call the earbuds, or I like to work with headphones or ear conduction tools.
Yeah.
Remember, it's designed to be pulsed.
You don't use a wireless, do you? Wireless in-ear buds? Yeah, because of the EMF. Yeah, same. I don't either. Okay.
No, some of the people are doing different things in here. And I know, this is your audience. I'm talking to the choir, but, I made one for ET aliens because sometimes people think they're being abducted or they just want to learn about something. Like the other day, my girlfriend came up with Lyrans. And so we went down a rabbit hole. She says, Karen, they've got all the galactic thing on this TAS education. We were down that rabbit hole for a while. So you don't know what's out there.
Right.
But these are probably the top 100 thing, or if people really want to look at ET stuff, they can go to ARB, free PDF on there. But again, one of the things I see a lot of people come up with, if they've had cancer or been around people with the jab, what I do is I give them my Lyme and tick one. So I actually put that tick on here, which is really helpful for people that have had supposedly cancers and stuff like that.
Right.
Or been around people jab, because a lot of stuff that they injected into their modifications up in the air or into some critter that gets near you in there, we can do that. So, and like I said, there's so many different things in there. Like people don't realize all the different ones that, I made, like just even for radiation. Do you know how many types of radiation there are?
734.
Pretty close.
Really?
Anyway, there's a lot of types. There's ionizing, non-ionization, and now I started doing something Ashton-Nazabar. If people want, I've got this really cool iTerra wand. It's excellent. I've been using it for about a week now.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so, Ashton's been doing some great stuff on my thing. But it's just to teach you about Faraday cages, how to make a Faraday cage at home, or what is the actual herbs that you need. What do I have to give you? So you know what? I'm going to actually put those herbs into you and give them to you.
Thank you.
Nanoparticles. So you don't realize things like Crohn's, leaky gut, all this kind of stuff, all these, things I can give to people here or look. Or I did a very specific one. Most people have heard of, what's been happening with the children. Yeah. Mine weren't the only ones in Martinsville cases, but all this sexual abuse and ritual abuse. So we've got stuff in here that have to do if someone was targeted or a child was hurt.
Ever in their life?
Ever.
Okay.
Or an adult. Or any kind of, and ritual abuse is one thing, sexual abuse is a different thing, and mental abuse. So I have specific ones for each one of them here for what you call trauma or womb recovery. And for little boys, because of the sodomization and what it does. Ugh. So in here, which, brings me, that whole thing and these disgusting new flags. But in here, it tells me specifically, there's an emotional, you can see conception vessel number 5. Or all sorts of stuff that I've been doing. Okay. So you don't know when it's been, or did they give us something that as a child we don't know, or something in the school, or what was happening, or,
vaccines when you were a kid. Yeah.
Things. Yeah. Or, and it may not be you, it may be someone around you. You got to remember, if someone was on a prescription and you were sleeping with them or vax, you have it.
Damn.
Okay. People are missing this stuff. Simple stuff. It's all energy transference. Okay. So I've dealt with a lot of people that these guys are all getting sick, getting rashes. Okay. Because they were sleeping with people. And I actually had one. This is actually a true story. Well, they all are true. But anyway, not too far away from here, down here, next couple of towns over. One of the girls contacts me and she said that a guy was sleeping with someone. He tried to make sure she was clean, but he got getting sick. And so he did some of the Bluetooth radar. And I don't know what he cracked into. I want that app. But he found out, he was able to track that she actually received a vaccine in September, whatever.
Then she said she didn't?
She said she didn't, but he found that she did.
Damn. So
and how the tables
have turned on all that shit, by the way. It's everybody, you can only if you're vaxxed. And then now everybody's like, are you vaccinated? And then people are lying about it when they were very proud before and saying that you should have done it.
Yeah. And again, it's energetic. Doesn't mean you have it. It could be in that 12-foot bubble, like in your orc, in the egg shape, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know what kind of stuff is coming up here. Okay. And this is nefarious. Like, I mean, this is just some of their top biowarfare. Okay. And if you go to SSP and you go to ACIO and listen to James Rank, they've got a whole bunch more they got ready to go.
Oh, badass.
So I'm testing for them.
See, and I love how this is updating as the new issues come about. They're like, and we got something for that. Let me ask you this: could you pair this, because it sounds like what you're doing? I mean, especially when you talked about the emotional part of this, what you're healing is like deep traumas.
For sure.
That's also facilitated by some plant medicines.
Yes.
Can you, or have you ever combined this therapy with an ayahuasca session? Let's say, for instance.
Not myself. And that's just simply because I don't do ayahuasca and I don't do any psychedelics myself. Okay. And it's just where I stand. I've actually been around people, they've done it. And there's been possessions. There has been changes in the auric field and all sorts of stuff that I've witnessed.
Yes.
And the clan mothers or Pachamamas down there, you have to train with them usually. And even like true ayahuasqueros for 6 months to a year. You're not allowed to do it. I've been in too many situations where they've had the runners here and peyote and stuff like that. I've been at different gatherings supposedly and on that, and we had a lot of people end up in emergency.
Yeah, you got to get some curanderos who know what they're talking about. But let's say, for instance, I know a guy who meets all of the qualifications that you're talking about and actually does this, the Ayahuasca Foundation out there in Iquitos, Peru. It seems like this would be a pretty cool element to the treatment as well.
You could do that. And quite frankly, I could put it on here and no one would have to go there. You know, I don't have a problem with things. What I have a problem with is people putting like ivermectin or drugs, or they want to put something else because they already do it from their arrays to us.
Right. And
to
this
get you to go do that.
And this was the other question I had was, could this replace, like if somebody wants to have an ayahuasca experience but just can't facilitate that, it's just not practical for them, this could replace that in theory, because not only is this a systemic...
Microdosing and doing stuff like that, like, you know, the movie Dosed and stuff. But again, like I said, a lot of people are acidic. Get down to the cause thing. You know, why do people even do a lot of the cannabis or the Phoenix tears out here? Because they're acidic and that's an alkaloid. And it's creating a disruption. So if you're already up here, and because my aura field is already up here, I don't need to try and get a high. I'm already up here. I live like this.
Yeah.
And if I took those substances, quite frankly, or when I've taken, there are many of us that are allergic to it. There's many of us original bloodlines that are actually allergic to cannabis. Some of those substances are not here. They may have been brought from the Pleiadians and they don't mix with my genetic. So it's not for everyone. So this is where you can actually put things on and go, should I or shouldn't I? Yes or no.
Right.
You know,
could you find out if you're allergic to something based on this that you didn't know that you were?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We have also, I didn't even get into that part yet, but okay, at the back end here, there's libraries and stuff too, and there's what you call neural remedies and frequency, shape, and form. So this is where we actually tell you, I'm not buying a program or an app or something for a couple hundred or 30,000. You actually can go in here and we can clear the programs, and then go to super consciousness, like talking to your inner self.
Yeah.
And you tell us what you want. I'm not guessing. And so this is where your allergy things, or what kind of, you know, form should I use? What sort of sounds would be better for you? Is there an addiction program or whatever I need? It tells me, you tell me what you read.
That's amazing.
Or do you need in there? Now, the other thing too, let's say if it was ayahuasca, actually on the plate, I could put that, or let's say whatever I want. And I can make neural remedies.
Yeah, that was the next question is, could you put a substance like that in, you know, the glass with water on the plate and actually pull out any impurities or any ill intent or anything that would have hopped on you if there's a spirit in there or some demonic possession or something like that? It's almost like cleansing everything before you enjoy it.
Yeah, this is a synergetic thing. So I could actually type in, even just energetically, I could type in ayahuasca, I could type in peyote, I could type in whatever. And well, here, okay.
And it'll give you the frequency so you can send it. You can add it as part, because everything has a frequency, right?
Right. So right now I'm just actually testing right now. I'll test one substance for you and it will tell me if I should do it or not. So you could actually have it do something to the physical body, but really screw up the mind, or vice versa. So we test all 4 quadrants: spiritual, energy fields, mind, and whatever. And the more it comes together, the more it's helping, or at least you can resonate. There's some things that it just doesn't resonate for. So this is like, in essence, muscle testing or allergy testing. So I could do that with or without the substance. And so this is why this is a whole different can of fish that we're looking at right now for modulations. And so in here, what I'm going to do, just for fun and for all your audience in there, we're going to put in 195 of them. That is for goofy. Okay. So in here, there's your toggle. You put it to whatever you want. And we have many trays. So I can actually do a general one and a pain one, or this and a that, or I have this and I do want a cataracts, or I have this in my, whatever, dental or skin or whatever. So that's it. You hit begin and you hit play. And this is as simple as it is. So I could hit all the red, all the blue. I could export, like I said, to your email. So maybe you want to listen to this session for next week. So you can buy a capsule.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I learned to go around that. So I can tape it on, Skype or something, or, we're taping here. So in this case, we do that. And just because I'm seeing that, I'm seeing a lot of stuff is coming up with a lot of the bacteria that we see in ticks, limes, or mosquitoes that have been tampered with. And maybe it was when you were 2, and maybe it was something in there. We don't know when. Or someone you're intimate with has limes, and guess what you're getting? Or Morgellons. So this is yours and all of us. And I like doing it because this will help everyone in the audience. And that's actually what you're getting right now. And if you usually close your eyes for about 3 minutes or 4, you'll feel it. So that's actually going out right now to all of us. And that includes me. I wouldn't do anything that had a side effect because I don't want, you know what I mean?
Well, I was about to ask if anybody in the audience has this won't hurt anybody that's listening. There's peanuts in it or anything. You can't have
anything untowards happen this way. Okay. We got governors put in here, and we have security and very tight security on this. Okay. This is like reverse engineering stuff. This is has its own intelligence, right? You just don't get into these programs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is there any way that you can send me just like a minute-long audio file of that, and I'll include it in the audio for our audience here if you'd like. After the show,
yeah,
I'll play it.
Send on Skype, or if you give me another Zoom, we could do that.
Yeah, yeah. We'll do that.
I know I can do one. I can only do 1 minute, but normally you need about 5 or 6 to do the water or to you. And remember, I really do want it with headphones or earbuds.
So guys, we'll do a minute of this after this whole episode wraps. You guys just hang out after my little last words and everything like that. Hang out, and we'll do a minute of this. And you guys put some headphones on. You can set your headphones on your water, and she's going to give all of you these frequencies for everybody to enjoy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I love hearing the feedback. It's like,
and please write in.
Sometimes it's physical, or it's mental, or it's emotional, or you never know what it's going to be. Some people, like I said, their senses are down, but a lot of people do feel it.
That is
so we need about
awesome.
5 minutes there. So put 5 minutes on you, and then put 5 minutes on the water, and then start drinking that new water that's been imprinted on the replicator. You've heard about the replicator technology, right? There's stuff set up here for like stereo and stuff, speakers. So those are some of the things too. So yeah, we could do something like that. And then what you do is you can see it, but you can clear it. You can put anything you want in here and have fun. And then you can rescan, because maybe we did. Hey, we got a lot of that certain bacteria. Let's go to the next item. Remember, you're taking it down like layers of an onion, really.
Yeah.
And so for you, this keeps coming up, same thing I see, get the apple pectin, if it's not potassium iodine or something, apple pectin or citrus pectin and stuff like that. We're just seeing so much stuff, in there that people need. And it's one way of addressing it. The biooxy comes up again. It's just something I'm seeing standard right across the board for everyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, if they want to have a session, like I said, if they want this stuff specifically, you can go to Genius Biofeedback and get your free demo. There's all sorts of contact stuff, and download it and play with it. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And there's no credit cards. You just send it to your email.
Yeah, just
and
enjoy.
Then the app will say untrusted, because you got to go to the settings and do a manual override. So don't get scared when you see. Actually, this is the time we get to untrust the plan.
Yeah, the AI tech doesn't want you to have this. So that's all that's about. Yeah.
No. So that's the way we've done that. And then if people want to get a hold of me, like I said, there's K.A. Lusick or Karen Macdonald there. I'm on Telegram, MeWe, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever one I have. And then if they want, they can get a hold of me. I always laugh. My new one is I'm the calm You can hear all the helicopters coming, but call them before the stormtroopers come in. So KALM 13 at Proton Mail. And for those people that still do Gmail, I'm at clanmother with a K, KLAN mother 13 at gmail.com. And I know you're down on that end of the whatever fictitious border, but the KKK, by the way, was the killer of the clans. That's what Ku Klux means. We are not part of those at all. And I get that all the time, especially from Americans. I don't know what it is, but it's maybe because of just the history, but a lack of teaching. But Ku Klux means the assassins or the killers of the clans. So the KKK was out there to kill us. And up here, for example, north of Saskatoon, when my Baba, Anna Buzik, was a teacher, she was in the old one-room school teachers. They were burning down all our schoolrooms up here too. Like all of what you call the Russian and Ukrainians and all that up here.
You know, and if you were going to apprehend and infiltrate a group to rage against another specific group like clan mothers, well, they can't say, we're doing this for clan mothers and indigenous, because nobody's going to get behind that. Nobody's going to back that, which no one backs them anyway. But now now it's just it's a racial thing, which is, you know, it seems like an apprehension, and they do some horrible shit. And then no matter who's at the top of this thing, those ideals still get passed down to these idiots at the bottom that actually carry them out. But I think that would be an interesting apprehension of the idea and the name to sway you or to kind of, Tai Chi your mind away and your attention away to something else when really they're here to destroy the sacred clans and the mothers of this place.
Yeah, and you're seeing this, and a lot of them are starting to talk about it. I know even Ishmael, like a lot of people, Patty Broussard, they're saying no. The original, there's 12 clan mothers, 12 tribal mothers. That's 12 and 12 is 24. Then they had an overseer to each. That's your 13th. And then they appointed the chief or chieftains or the dragons. So you had a council of 52 that governed this entire planet.
And it's weird too, because it's still astrological and numerical. So you're talking 52 weeks in a year, right? You're talking 12, then you're talking the 12, months and the zodiac and the 12 disciples of Jesus. So it's just really interesting how these numbers keep popping up in similar fashions.
Yeah, and the 13th, we override. So because it was always in consensus, this isn't about voting, but at that point, you still had to have 100%. This is not a 51 majority and the demons running the democracies.
Right.
This was, everyone had to be in agreement because it had to be benevolent for everyone. It's like when people hand-fested, you had to have the blessings.
Yeah.
And that's why we're trying to stop like the Rogers and the Shaw merger right now, because we don't want that stuff to go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're looking for people that can, help on so people need some assistance with that, because we're trying to stop some of that in other ways, So, do you have any other questions? Or?
It's just, there's so much to talk about and think about with this. You're just a wealth of fascinating information, and I've absolutely got to have you back on. So we're going to book another one of these really soon, because I've got, and we're going to go deep with it, with the secret space programs, with some time travel, with some chronovisors, with some, all of that. I want to know about the dams, some more directed energy weapons. So we'll book another one of these and get you back on real soon for a part 2 follow-up. But this has been amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. So of course,
leave you with one or two things. And I know up here you can take a look, but like I said, there's a thing called Real Raw Foods that has got the MMS water purification drops. Now you can find it as chlorine dioxide on Amazon for $20, $30. They're not $50 and $100. Watch it. The other thing is Nevessence up here is nevessence.com, but I'm actually finding therapeutic kits too, called Kriya, or at truehealthcanada.ca. We've got a lot of these supplies in too, or I use Tony Nevis because he's actually customs these oils for us. They're all grade 1 therapeutic. They're half the price of Young Living and every other company out there. But we made stuff called Radiate and Renew. But a lot of this stuff, or, if you need pH Miracle, or if you need the food-based one, we have it called suedeheals.com, because these people are out there with a shingle. No one wants to get their head chopped off these days. But, if you're looking for these kind of supplies, take a look at them. They're all first class. They're all superfoods and stuff like that, because I want people to be able to have supplies available to them, or in case borders shut, or you got, whatever's coming up. This is what's in my bug out bag that sits in my 16-foot camper outdoors.
Yeah. And even mobile. even if nothing, happens like that, and maybe the cabal gets their head chopped off and aliens come down and we get sucked into the fifth dimension or something like that, it's still going to be nice to have this stuff. And if nothing else, you're feeling better from supplementing from all of the years and decades possibly of damage that has been done to all of us, just because we didn't know. We were consenting unknowingly.
Yeah, and like I said, we're trying to take care of that from a law point of view. Like I can get into a lot of stuff if you want to see the cease and desist stuff and the writs of mandamus that the higher courts are now making that are listening to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That know that we have the authority. That's why look at Project Ascension. Look who I was dealing with. Look at the chain of command. If you see the certain stuff, look at Sergeant General Brad McMullen. His chain of command is this big.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Just absolutely amazing. So I'm going to give you the last word. We are going to cap it on this only because I got another commitment. Otherwise, like I said, we just keep talking here. But Karen Macdonald, thank you. I'm going to give you the last word. So please sign off. This has been a goddamn delight. Like you, again, have got to come back. We have so many things to talk about. But please.
My last two, I'll give you two. Expanding reality. Join us.
Wanted to take a moment and thank Karen Macdonald for coming by. That was incredible. We will absolutely be having her back on. There's so much information and so many damn things that we did not get to. Even though this is a massive episode, there's so many things that we didn't get to. So we will do that again in the future. Now, I also wanted to mention that we promised you guys a minute of audio frequencies after this to stick around, but you don't have to. They've actually been playing the past 10 to 15 minutes of the last part of our conversation there, and they were going into you. So they were played, so they're infused, and that's good enough is what I'm led to believe. So no need to stick around. They've already been in there, and you should feel tons better. Write me in if you feel any different or anything after that. And just to let me know what you think about Karen. She's exceptional. So check the show notes for all the ways to find her, as well as all the resource links, guys. There's a ton of information down there, so definitely check that out. And while you're down there, check out our resource links: Food Forest Abundance, Opus, the organization for paranormal understanding and support, as well if you want to start your own podcast. There's a link down there that says start your own podcast. Highly recommend you do it if you feel called to. As well, check out the Manifestor's Guide. If you are really ready to step your life up, that is the link to click. As well, go into the checkout there and type Expanding Reality, all caps, no spaces, for an even bigger deal on your investment in yourself. While you're down in the show notes as well, guys, check out the link titled expandingrealitypodcast.com. That is where you can sign up to become an Expansive Insider member, and that is a great way to support the show that loves the shit out of you anyway. But also, there's a ton of incredibly cool bonus content episodes over there, panel discussions that we're doing as well. This is an aligned audience platform, and that's what the next phase of everything looks like, is aligned audiences, aligned partnerships, and that's what we're all after here. Definitely check those links out if it's something that you feel called to do. As well, if you just feel like you just want to support and you don't want to get all the extra bonus stuff, there is a link down there that says support the mission, and you guys are welcome to invest as little or as much as you'd like. All of it helps, and I'm grateful for every single thing that y'all are doing. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. All right, guys, go out into this beautifully mysterious and convoluted and weird and awesome place that we got going here, and y'all pick up a piece of litter. Be nice to everybody that you come across. Pleasantry is not dead, and I can prove it to you by you just being pleasant. You will see an incredible change in your life. Not that you're not pleasant already, but be pleasant even to the lizard turds. It's a new model that we're working on here. Everybody's on their highest timeline. Tend your garden, all that good stuff. Also, while you're out crushing it at life in general, step it up, just a little bit by just buying somebody a coffee or a meal or something super small online around you. It helps more than you know, and it does a tremendous thing for you energetically. What it does for you is amazing. So it's actually one of the more selfish things that you can do, is be nice or do something amazing like that for somebody else, which is really just another version of you, right at a level, if you choose to view it that way. Also, get out of that left-hand lane if you got somebody behind you wanting to pass there. And finally, above all and anything else, guys, go out into this incredibly mysterious place, whatever the hell this thing is, and y'all just be good to one another. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, engaging, and just being amazing. Just overall amazing. We will see you next time.
At Sleep Outfitters Outlet, great sleep is a big deal. Save 40 to 60% every day on every Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and Tempur-Pedic. Queens as low as $249. Customer exchanges, closeouts, and floor samples. Inventory changes daily, so come in for your dream deal today. With no credit-needed financing, expert advice, and up to 60% off retail, it's never been easier to get the sleep and savings you deserve. Go to sleepoutfittersoutlet.com for financing details and to find a store near you.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.